stopping us. Fly without a boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I'll be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Shooting stars.
Didn't even get to cross.
I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I'd be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get to glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shoot, yeah, shoot, yeah, shooting, yeah, shooting, shot. Shooting stars.
Didn't even get to cross.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away? Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away?
What's happening, people? Happy Friday. Hope everyone's good. Welcome back to Tottenham Away. Matthew, a.k.a. Matt, he will be joining us. He's just sorting out his camera. But Brian Daigle's back again this week. Brian, my man, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate. I'm okay. Still got my health concerns, but fighting on like a trooper. And all good. All good. Although it's snowing here in Toronto. We've had some good weather, and now we're back to snow. So all good.
Snowing over there. What's it like here? Bit grey. Little bit cloudy. It's usual London weather. Nothing to write home about. Guys, everyone in the chat, big up. Hope you're good. Hope you're well. Good to have you back with us on this Friday. Quick hello to everyone. Just a harmless potato. Keep it real. Adrian in the building. Big up to you guys. Rob, George, Barbaric. Hope you're good. JP. Ben's in the house. Got Tony in the building. JJ, how you doing? Benjamin, big up to you guys. Hope you're all well. Thanks for joining us. The Park Lane Ninja. Big up to you. What a name that is. Raider Yid. What a legend.
The man.
Big up. Gary's in the house. How you doing, Gary? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I mean, it's always weird when there's no league action and international football takes over because it's it's all a bit boring, right? It's not really. I don't know. Are you bored or are you glad we've got the break after the Fulham game?
A bit of both, in all honesty. Still, as I just said to you backstage, I'm actually meant to be going to my first Toronto FC game tomorrow, so I get to go watch some MLS football for the first time, and looking forward to that. But I said in the comments, I said at least Tottenham can't ruin our weekend this weekend, and that's how it is. Normally, last season we were praying for international breaks because of how last season was ending. This season, there's a lot of people that have been saying, I wish we could just play again and get this over and done with rather than have this break. But I'm delighted we got this break because they can have 2 weeks, the people that aren't away on international duty, and right the bloody wrongs from that horror show at Craven Cottage.
Well, that's going to be our starting point for the show tonight. Tonight? Depends what part of the world you live in. Today. Yeah, so the first thing I wanted us to talk about today was the Sky Sports live game. 3-0 to Fulham. Could have been more, to be honest with you. That Fulham performance. We beat Aston Villa away 4-0. We all said it was controlled. Oh, there he is. Big up, Matt. How you doing, brother? Welcome.
Welcome.
Good to see you. He fixed his camera. Yeah, that Villa result was so good. And we said how important it would be for the top 4 race. We've gone there. We've played well. We completely ripped them apart second half. And we thought, do you know something? This is the beginning of a good run now. All the usual. We've got our Tottenham back. We're cooking. Ange ball. All the big, bold statements came out. And yeah, we went away to 12th place Fulham and got completely rinsed, taken apart, battered, beaten, out tactics, outplayed, outmaneuvered. And let's be honest, we could have got a couple of goals, but Fulham could have got another 3 or 4. So, Brian, my man, like what do you make of it? It was look, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. It was Spursy.
Mate, Joe, first of all, what I will say, and I don't think I've said it on the videos, and I should have said it reflecting back. First of all, Fulham were incredible. Fulham turned up. Listen, we can all talk about how crap we were.
Yeah.
Fulham were great and deserve a lot. As you said, 12th place. Fulham deserve a lot of credit for what they did. They knew what to do, and they did it. Disastrous, shambolic, spineless, gutless, toothless. Pick one of those, or all of them. Yeah. It was humiliating. And you know what? It was the slap in the face that some people need. That, like you said, these people are top 4's ours. We're going to do it. It's easy. It's this. I've said it before, and I'll say it now. Just going forward, I don't think we're going to beat Luton. I don't think we beat Luton at home. I'm going that far. Like Bournemouth last year, when we should have done it. They're fighting for relegation. Now we're going to see the bottle and the fight and whatever. I would not be surprised if we do not beat Luton. It was just an absolute horror show. I think Vicario is the only one that can hold his head high. It was just one of the most. It was the worst performance of the season, bar none.
Yeah, it was awful. Matt, everyone said once we get our players back, once the players are all fully fit, we'll be doing the business. And we went to Villa, we did the business. We then went to Fulham. Listen, everyone was available. Even Richarlison was back. You know, who was injured other than Solomon and Van der Ven? But it seems that even when all our players are back, something still isn't right. Now, Matt, do you put it down to like a bump in the road, as some people have called it, or do you put it down to actually we're not as good as we thought? Or maybe is it a case of, you know what, there's something deeper where this always keeps happening, whether it's Ange, Conte, Mourinho, Potts, Redknapp. This type of result is always in us. And I think until we eradicate, do you know what? It's not even the result, it's the performance. Until these performances like that against teams we should be, let's be honest, we should be beating them. until these performances against average opposition disappear from the club, how can we ever really believe in what the project is or the direction we're going in?
Yeah, for me, I think it's going back to Postecoglou's comments about fourth, getting Champions League. I think what he's trying to say is get the performances right first, and league positions and trophies will follow. So he wants to make sure that the performances, people know what they're doing and people are performing at a consistent level. Until he gets that, he won't be happy. So what the reporter and what people are just looking at is we've got beat by Fulham, which is obviously a poor result. But what Postecoglou, I'm guessing, is trying to say is, I need the performances first, because if we get the performances right, we should win more football matches than we don't. So I just think we are in this, we've been inconsistent for how many years? You could argue, I was looking back the other day do you remember the Portsmouth when they were almost in liquidation and we had the semi-final and people were already booking the final? People were already booking hotel accommodation. And do you remember Portsmouth beat us? Jamie O'Hara was on loan. They had a ragtag team, and they beat us in the semi-final. Yeah. So we have a history of inconsistency. So for me, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, look, if this happens in year 2 and he's got more players in his personnel to choose from, I think it's more of a worry. I think had we have had a poor performance and result against Aston Villa and then follow that into the Fulham game with a similar poor performance and similar result, then I think there would be more worries. But I think we can kind of see what he's trying to do, and the Villa match shows that. But then the inconsistency is 7 days later we can play that poorly. We didn't win the first ball, we didn't win the second ball. There was no energy in our passing. We didn't win any duels. Barring Vicario, it was an absolute lackluster performance, and there was just no spark.
Matt, you talk about performances, right? Right. Let me just go back a little bit.
Go on.
We didn't play good at Everton, and we deserved the draw in the end. We let them back in the game, and we didn't.
Yeah.
Well, right. Then we squeezed past Brighton 2-1. Then we put in a stinking performance against Wolves, and we lost 2-1. Then against Crystal Palace for 65 minutes, we did nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
But performance-wise, it was. Then against Aston Villa, we put in a really good performance, arguably one of our best performances of the season. And
Agreed.
then we lost 3-0 to Fulham, which was, as we've said, our worst performance of the season. So when I'm looking at the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, there's only one good performance in there. So it's all good and well, the manager of Spurs saying, I want to get the performances right. The results aren't as important than the top 4 talk. But the performances aren't good. Other than Aston Villa, when's the last time Spurs put in a good performance? And we've got all our players back now as well. I'm not trying to criticise Andrew, because you know me. I will take the problem much better, as many of us will. But I'm just saying, what he says and what I see are two different things at the moment. And I'm beginning to kind of get to that place where I'm not losing faith, but I just find these words meaningless, Matt. Does that make sense?
No, listen, I agree. We're not playing the swashbuckling. We're not playing the cavalier football that we were playing in the first 10 games of the season, no doubt. I think there are reasons for that. I think because players have come back from mid-term length, I won't say long-term, but 3 months is long enough. Injuries, Maddison, Van der Ven, there's been interruptions with the AFCON. So we've got many players who, even though they're fit, are they match fit? What's their confidence levels like? Basuma's coming back from 2 quick suspensions in succession, then malaria. So as much as he has been poor, there are mitigating circumstances, I believe, in some of Basuma's poor performances. Had he have had that level of poor performances from the season starting, then we'd have a problem. But he has shown that this is the point. A lot of our players have shown a level of consistency for the first 10 games. It's dropped off since then. Now, how do you fix that? How do you address that? That's obviously on the manager and the coaching team, but the performances haven't been great. No, but I don't think anybody can say they have been, but there's been other teams as well that some of the performances are, barring Arsenal, and you probably argue Liverpool and Man City, the rest of the top 6, top 7 have been, Man United have been up and down, Aston Villa have been up and down. So I think we're in that next bunch of you're not sure what you're going to get at the moment.
The difference is, though, no one's talking about Ten Hag ball, Emery ball. Everyone's talking about Ange ball. But yet, like you said, we're not much different to those outside the top 3. Brian, what's your take on this? Right? Because I agree with half of what Matt says, but I disagree with the other half. But where do you see this? Is Ange ball a bit of a myth at the moment? Are we getting overhyped with it? Do we just need to slow down and just see where this goes? Was the transfer window in the summer as good as we made it out to be? Or in hindsight, was it actually half of the players were good, the other half, what have we done here?
Well, there's
these questions.
There's bits. But first of all, do you remember when I was on your show after the Fulham match and I said about with our transfer window in the summer about buying lumps of coal and hoping they turn into diamonds and not buying enough diamonds to it's all well and good buying lumps of coal and hoping they turn into diamonds. We didn't know Vicario was good. Listen, people, and I know James Flowers in the house. I didn't know about Vicario. Well documented. I went mad when we signed him because I wanted Bray, yada, yada, yada. But no one knew he was going to be this good. No one. I don't care if you come from Serie A. No one knew he was going to be this incredible in his first season. I would say the same with Destiny. I'd say the same with Van der Ven. You could go. Literally, don't get me wrong. They've turned. I'm the biggest Van der Ven fan you'll find. He's magnificent. But it's all well and good. We need to buy some diamonds for the lumps of coal. It's all well and good doing that. But I want to go back to what you were saying about Ange Ball and what Matt was saying about mitigating circumstances. I agree with him to an extent. But the thing that has got me with this season is this season, more than any other season in our recent history, they have had the longest time on the training ground without match days. They haven't had to travel into Europe. They haven't played every single week. We've been playing one game. Whether they've had the injuries or not, that's you can't do anything about an injury. But they have had going out both cup competitions early doors. They have been on that training ground more regularly to work on all aspects, whether it be in the gym, whether it be set pieces, whether it be passages of play, whether it be whatever it may be. They have had a huge amount of time to get everything in order. And you would think after these really, really poor performances, you mentioned Wolves, could obviously talk about what happened at Fulham. All right, we've got the international break, but there's still players that haven't gone. They have 7 days or whatever it may be, non-stop to prepare. No interruptions, no nothing. Like, right, we need to correct this. This is what we're going to do. And I wouldn't say getting concerned what Ange is doing on the train. That's not what I'm getting. But I'm thinking, why aren't the players dealing with this? Why can they play so incredibly well against Aston Villa in that second half, incredibly well, and then go and put in a shit show against Fulham? There's no travelling to Europe. Then you got to look at it and you think, okay, the players, big up, brother Wayne. You've got to be looking at it. They've had is this a fucking mental thing in their egos and the arrogance? Oh, we've just wiped Villa Park. We've just gone and battered 4 past Villa Park, where not a lot of teams have been able to do it. They won 17 games in a row at home. They're our biggest rivals. That means I think it's, again, this is it. But when they say they use fatigue, I don't get how Spurs can ever use, or fans can say this season, oh, they're tired, or there's just excuse after excuse after excuse. I'm wondering what the hell the players are doing on the training ground. Not Ange. Why aren't they taking this stuff in? They have had longer to dissect it. After Villa, they would have had a week to study Fulham, a week to train, a week to do everything, no interruptions. Yet they go and put that arrogant, we're better than you kind of performance, and they got found out big time.
Yeah,
Matt,
I agree.
you want to add to that?
Yeah, listen, for me, it's a combination of reasons. I think Fulham, I agree with Brian, Fulham were very good on the day. There's a stat, Fulham are 7th in the form guide for home performances this season. Fulham have beaten Arsenal. Look at their results against Liverpool. Look at their results against Man City. At home, Fulham are a very difficult team to play against. Not excusing our performance. I think the thing that I was very questionable about is just our lack of intensity. You know, you can lose a football match. You know, that can happen. But I must have counted 6 times in the first half. We lost the first tackle. The ball broke. We had a chance to get the second tackle. We lost the second tackle. You know, and that's not luck. I don't put that down to luck. A famous football coach said, "The harder I worked, the luckier I became." And I just think we just looked complacent. And I'm hoping, even though they've got an international duty, I'm hoping they play back that match. They play back all the errors, because there was a lot of personal and team errors. So when they get back in that boardroom and they show them the mistakes, hopefully, as Brian says, they take it in and then take it back onto the field for the next match. So there's always this question mark about the Ange ball and what is it? Is there such a thing? Did we get lucky in the first 10 games of the season? Did the Premier League not know about how Ange sets up teams? Did we sneak up on teams? Those are all relevant questions. But I think I'm not getting caught up in the Ange ball. I think what is noticeable is statistically, we are 3 meters higher up the pitch. Our defensive line, that is an actual statistical fact. We now defend 3 meters higher up the pitch. We were also in the season 2022-2023.
Sorry, Matt. Just to clarify, when you say we are 3 meters higher up the pitch, what are you comparing that to?
To last season. So our defensive line last season, call that
Conte had us on the goal line. Surely we're about 50 meters higher up.
No. We're actually 3 meters statistically higher up our starting positions. We're 3 meters higher up.
Believe. That's
honestly
okay. Yeah, go on. There must be a mistake there. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So that's been measured. Also, we were 20th last season in winning the ball back. So we were the worst team last season at winning the ball back. We are now statistically, we caused the most turnovers in the Premier League this season. That's also a statistical fact.
But one minute. But isn't that because we played differently? Because under Conte, we sat back, we were happy to give up possession and happy to turn over the ball away. Yeah. Isn't that just down to style of play? Yeah, so
that's my point. So I'm not getting into the Ange ball. What I'm saying is what he has brought, what he's introduced into Tottenham now is we are on the front foot in most games, barring the Fulham game, but we are on the front foot. We are winning the ball back higher up the pitch.
Oh, I get you.
Turnovers.
All right. Yeah. I get it.
So when fans say Ange ball, and the question is what is Ange ball, that's the statistical facts. That's what he's changed. He's made us not play as the underdog. He's made us try and win the ball and play like the home team. Don't forget, there's also a stat. We have the same amount of possession home or away this season. 60% possession at home, 60% possession away from home. That is over the whole season. So those are the changes that he's brought into Tottenham. Now, you could argue, what are we doing with that possession? But again, I think that's in the development of what comes next, what I'm hoping what comes next.
See, what? Do you know what? We're going to get onto Andrew Postecoglou as one of the topics because I just want to talk about Fulham. Let's park what you've just said and come back to exactly that because that's one of the topics I want to discuss. Part of the Fulham game was the first full game debut of this man, Dragusin. He got a full 90 minutes from start to finish.
Still, keep him there. He's a lot better looking than me. I'll just talk to him.
No, he looks too much like Danny the Bun, so no, I'm going to remove him. But what did you guys make of Brian? What did you make of Dragusin's? Obviously, his debut was Everton away, where he came on and we ended up drawing 2-2. It's not the greatest start. Is it his fault? Probably not. And then he made a full debut today, and it was an absolute disaster. I mean, is he a jinx? Is he a jinx already?
Listen, he's not a jinx. What I will say is, after the Aston Villa game, he came on. He looked very good when he came on for Van de Ven. The game was in full flow. Spurs were on the up, and it was still 0-0. But he came into a team where Spurs were on the up and up. Everyone was there, and then obviously what happened. And it was obvious he's going to be the replacement for Van de Ven because we knew he weren't playing. I was saying, let's see what he does with his first full 90 minutes, where he starts, and he started off quite brightly, but then Fulham started getting in quite a couple of times, and he was playing a very, very high line, and he was the one that wasn't keeping in line with the rest of the defence. I will say it was not a great performance, but no one did, apart from Vicario. Listen, if the ship's sinking, one new person isn't going to come in and save the day. We did this after Pedro Porro's debarkable debut, first full 90 minutes at Leicester. we were all like, even Tim Sherwood, everyone came out going, "Oh my God, this guy is absolute." Look at him now. After one set of 90 minutes, we cannot say, "Oh my God, he's crap, he's useless, get rid of him." I saw some people saying we've signed the second Vlad Clearances. I was like, no, hold fire. He will improve. I've got great faith in him. I think he will be. He looks like he is going to be a quality addition. It's sometimes, listen, we're so lucky that we've had people like Van de Ven, Vicario, and everyone slot right in. Just like Jan Vertonghen did, just like some people did. It doesn't happen with every single player. It simply doesn't. You just go, here's a brand new team, brand new country, learn the language, learn the culture, learn everything we do, and set the world alight immediately. It just can't happen every single time. I honestly think he will turn out to be, and you've got to remember as well, he has mainly been brought to be Romero's replacement on the right, not a player on the left. So I think he will come good. But it was not a great day for anyone. So he had a bad debut. And as D. Ream once sung, things can only get better.
Do you remember they used to play that at Tottenham when things were bad?
Mate, I actually made to play it on a loop at the Scotland Yard at half time.
Oh my God!
Last week against Fulham, because I really thought things could only get better. But how wrong was I?
I remember those days. Matt, what do you make of Dragusin? I mean, let's be honest, we can't make anything after 1.5 games, can we? Let's be honest, we can't.
Yeah. I think all the reports before we signed him was that he was a dominant man mountain. Below his years, in his level of experience. I like him. I think he's combative. And I don't know about you, but it's the first time in a long time when a ball came into the box from a corner or free kick that I didn't feel nervous. Like if he was anywhere near it, he looked dominant in the air. And I think even with Romero, the probably one question mark about Romero is if he's isolated and the ball comes into the box, he can be got at. I don't think he's great in the opponent's box, but I think he's a bit susceptible with the ball that comes across him. I've seen better debuts, and I'm sure when he kind of looks back at it, he'll think he probably could have done one or two things better. I know we had a couple of texts still. I think you blamed him for the first goal, didn't you? You thought he should have come. He should have come across a little bit earlier.
I think he got caught. Romero went out wide and Dragusin shuffled over with him where he didn't need to do that. He could have just stayed and monitored the players coming in the box, which he didn't. And then when the player did come in the box, he was too far away from him as a result. And then when he did go, he didn't put a block in. There was no sliding tackle. There was nothing to block it. He just allowed the ball to come in. So for me, I don't blame him for the attack, but I do blame him for not trying to stop it. Yeah, I don't think I think he could have done better. I've watched him play. I watched him play in Genoa. In Genoa, he goes in. He goes in. Yeah. Van de Ven wins the ball, but this time he just seemed. I'll just kind of let you take a shot. You know.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a period of adaptation, and I think he'll learn the distances that he need. I think he'll learn the distances that he needs to be. Probably in Italy, it's a little bit slower. So probably in Italy, he's thinking, I've got time. If that ball comes across, I've got time to get the Premier League's a fraction quicker. So I think by the time he thought, it's in the back of the net. And I think he seems intelligent. If you listen to Cellini's kind of report on him, he's a quick learner. So I think he'll start to learn the distances where he needs to be when they've got the ball and when they don't have the ball. So I'm hoping he'll be a better defender after that semi mistake. I just think he was compounded. I think, as Brian said, I think he was in the barrel. He was in the barrel with everybody else. He just kind of got infected with the same sloppiness. Second half, he looked a little bit sluggish on the ball. But yeah, I've got no doubts. He's certainly not a Ben Davies or a Emerson Royale. He's an upgrade, and I think he will be a very good player for Tottenham.
Yeah, look, my thoughts on Dragusin is I don't have any yet until he plays about 10 games, and then I'll tell you what I think. But initially, I think there's a good player there. He played in the back three in Genoa, so I think probably going into a back two was a bit of a shell shock. Plus, Genoa don't play a high line. In fact, no one plays the high line the way we do, so that's probably another shell shock to him. So you're right. I think there's a lot of adaptation, and I think he will be a good player. But, and this is my caveat, the Spurs jersey seems to do things to players where they become different to what we've signed. I mean, Basuma's a prime example, right? Hold on a minute. Where's that Brighton player we saw? We've seen a bit of it, but now you look like a Spurs player that is on his way to being dropped or fans turning against you. That's the kind of direction he's going in at the moment. So until he does it in a Spurs shirt, I'm just going to see how it goes. So.
I'm telling you something about Bissouma. I'm about to start a petition with Bissouma because, like I had with Benoit Asikotu, me and my dad had a scientific theory proven that when he had his braids in, he played well, and when he had his afro, he lost all the aerodynamics and he was shocking. Do you remember for the first 10 games when Bissouma was incredible, he was wearing that arm sleeve? He stopped wearing that. I'm going to start a petition to get Bissouma to wear his arm sleeve again, because I think that's where his power is. I think someone needs to do something to his arm, so he has to put that sleeve on and give him power. And I'm being serious.
Why don't you contact the Spurs Supporters Trust? Maybe they'll write a letter.
Oh, mate, I would try and email Levy, but he won't take my emails anymore.
Do you know what's funny, right? With Bissouma, at the start of the season, he was so freaking good. I remember going to the Emirates where we drew 2-2 of Arsenal. He was unreal in that game. Like he bullied Saliba, threw him to the ground off the ball in a 50-50. I'm thinking, we've got a player here. We've got a proper player here. And then the last, 15 odd games, he's just been absolutely bang average, man.
I've given you the answer.
It's the sleeve. Yeah, maybe you're onto something. This man here, the gaffer, and Postecoglou. What do you make of his season so far, guys? And his season so far? He's been here now, what? He joined us, what, is it a month before the season started? Was it 2 months before?
He joined June, he started July.
Okay, so July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. Right, he's at 8 months in the job. We're now in month 9. What do you make of Ange so far? Are you super happy about it? Are there any concerns you've got? Do you think we're in the right direction? Do you think, you know what, we need to just put the brakes on this and just see where we go? I'll go last, but I'll tell you now, I'm on the fence. I wasn't on the fence before. I was Ange, but I'm on the fence now. Not because I doubt Ange, but I'm doubting the patterns that I'm seeing from above and what he's saying. And I've got a few concerns about that. But look, Matt, I know you're super positive about Ange. You see a lot of brilliant. You see the direction is going in the right way in that. What would I mean? If you want to double down on that, or if there's anything else you want to add, but what do you make of Ange Postecoglou so far?
Big fan. Big fan of him. I think his book, by the way, I'll borrow it yourself if you need to read it. Read his book. His story is incredible. I know that sounds a cliche, but if you read his story of how he came to Australia and couldn't speak English and all the obstacles and the prejudice that he received in Australia and how he's always kind of climbed above and kind of when people said you can't do something, he's more often than not done it. So I'm a big fan. Yeah, I think there's been a period of honeymoon. There's no doubt about that. I think he released the shackles off a few players. There's no doubt about that. So I think when he came in and gave people a license to express themselves, and if you make a mistake, it's on me. I think that really gave players the juice that they need. So I think Basuma looked like a reborn player. I think Maddison looked like he'd been at Spurs for 5 years. So I think he's injected a serum of positivity. I think there is a period of stagnation with injuries, suspensions, and obviously confidence. Winning becomes a habit, losing becomes a habit. And we went through that sticky period where we were losing matches and turning over. Wolves away, and then we got that 3-3 against Man City. I like him, and I genuinely, and still we're going to have many shows going forward. I genuinely believe when he gets a few more players in his armory that he can rotate, not drop, rotate, and keep the same level of knowledge and understanding and execution. I don't think the players are executing some of the things that are asked of them. Basuma looks uncertain on the ball. I think he's frightened every time he goes into a challenge. He's going to get red carded, and he's playing like it. And Basuma was such a release valve for Tottenham. You know, he wasn't quite Moussa Dembele, but he was that type of player that you could give him the ball and trust him, and he'd get us out of tight spaces and he'd free the players. He's now hiding a little bit when we've got the ball. He doesn't look like he wants to take the ball off Romero and Van der Ven like he did in the first 10 games. So for me, I'm erring on that side. So I think if he gets some more players and gets rid of a few players, I'm expecting an even better performance, results and season next year.
Would you give him a mark out of 10 so far, Matt?
8.
8 out of 10. Just so you know, in a customer satisfaction survey, anything that's 8 or above is classed as extremely satisfied. So I think it's the highest accolade you can give. 8, 9, and 10 is. Anyway, I'm going off for one.
That.
Brian,
I'd go for that.
You can give your customer service satisfaction score after you tell us. What do you think of Ange? And by the way, I don't want you to just judge him on performances, vibe at the club, results, but how you perceive him as a manager working under Levy and actually, I don't want to say standing up to the board, but not being another yes man, basically.
Well, listen, time with that will tell. Because as Matt was just saying, let's look. I think a lot of this will go on to next season, but you have to think next season in some capacity, in some competition, we're in Europe as well. So there are going to be more games. There's going to be a lot more games. In fact, hopefully there'll be a lot more games because we'll take the competition seriously and progress further and further. His game management needs to improve. If we've got that, you look at it, like we said, the first 10 games, no one had a clue what to do with us.
And what do you mean by game management, Brian? Like, what specifically do you mean?
I mean, literally, like, if he's got a set team that he wants to challenge for the Premier League, we've got to see, for the first time, proper squad rotation. If we're in the Europa League or Champions League, game management planning ahead. I know we go, he's saying every game we go game by game. But the big teams, like Manchester City and Liverpool, yes, they've got the wealth of talent that they have, although Liverpool have been using their youth. When they've got a huge game coming up, whether it be a Man City in the Premier League, a Carabao, whatever it may be, Klopp thinks ahead and goes, right, I need this, this, and this, and this one fit. Look at Man City last year when they've done the treble. The first part of the season, they were up and down. De Bruyne was on the bench a load of times, and he was like, right, the second half of the season is when I need these guys fit. This is the business end. This is when we, and then obviously, listen, like I said, Man City have a much better squad than us. It's night and day. I want to see that. There's going to be a lot more game time. And if we're picking up injuries like this once every week, like when we're playing once a week, then he's got to start looking at what we're doing. I think if we're in Europe as well, he's got to look at different styles of play that teams are going to play. So when he goes to think about who I want in the squad, what do I need? I am fully behind Ange. I think probably, well, obviously since Poch, you could see a manager there that could stay a long time and that actually has a clear vision of what he wants, how he wants it. We saw those 10 games, what it could be, what it can be. And we've seen, again, teams like Liverpool, Manchester City, able to keep that up consistently because they have the squad to do it. And like I said, Pep will put Haaland on the bench. He will put De Bruyne on the bench, Rodri. And they all have their reasons for doing it. And they come in and they have players to replace them. Maybe not at that level, but as a team, they get the job done. I love Ange Postecoglou. It looks like he is saying things that I want to hear, or he has been, sorry, the whole time. He basically still, I've been using what you said as well when he said a few comments recently when he said exactly what Antonio Conte said a year ago, but just done it in a dignified manner.
Yeah, nicer.
Yeah, he just did it in a more dignified, elegant, I'm not screaming and shouting and calling you every name under the sun. And just absolutely putting you under the bus, which don't get me wrong, Levy totally deserves. And I stand by what Conte did is one of the best things I've ever seen. But there needs to be some improvements. But like I said, I am fully behind him. I think we've got a guy here that could do something. I think we've got a guy that could end the trophy drought. But again, it will all come down to this big summer. We're going to have that saying that we hear every single year, Stella and Matt. Is Ange going to get his players in? If we're in Europe, what does that mean? Are we going to be able to ship out? Are we going to... Previous seasons, like last season, most of our players go out on loan because no bastard wants them. So we send them out on loan.
Yeah.
Well, those players that constantly go out on loan, including your Brian Hills, they have no future at the club. It's clear to see. As fans, it's clear for us to see. Bye-bye. If you have to take a hit, take it. If Ange Postecoglou says, I want X, Y, and Z for Emerson, or I want X, Y, Z amount for Hill, are you going to allow it to go so he can replenish the squad and get what he wants? I think if Ange can get what he wants, and obviously it's a huge if, Ange could really do something. So I am happy with that. I'm a bit concerned with a few areas. I really am. Like, for instance, the Fulham game, we've sometimes praised his substitutions. We thought, why are you making those subs? But it's worked. It's worked, and he's been like, oh my God, great subs. You could clearly see the Fulham bench or the Fulham game subs were warming up, ready to come on. They're ready to come on at 2-0. But he delayed, and he delayed, and he delayed. Then it was 3-0. It gets to the point as well. My opinion, if I was Ange Postecoglou, some of those players wouldn't have come out in the second half that started against Fulham. They were that bad. We just need. That's where I just want to see some improvements. But in generally, I am happy with him, and I am going to mark in my customer survey mark that you wanted, Stealth. I'm going 1 point below Matt. I'm going 7 out of 10.
Brian's gone 7 out of 10. I think for me with Ange, I've kind of changed my position a bit. By the way, Biggs won. Klopp at Liverpool 9 years, Pep City 8 years, Arteta 5 years, and Ange 8 months building the team. The Ange outers make me laugh. What I would say though is Klopp won everything in Germany, which is one of the top 3 leagues in Europe before he came to Liverpool. And in his first 2 seasons, he got to 2 cup finals. Pep Guardiola won everything in football, one of the best in the world. In his second season, he won the league, breaking the 100-point record. Arteta won the FA Cup in his first season at Arsenal. So I think the comparison here isn't quite showing the context of what's going on. I see your point, though. If you're talking about a build, give it time. And I agree with that. I do agree with it.
So let me just add that. I don't understand. I can understand being unhappy with the manager for certain performance, for certain games, for maybe some people have been talking about his demeanour on the sideline, where he's just standing there, arms folded. That's Ange's right to do what he wants on the bench. Yes, you might want to see more animated. But what I don't get, once again, this guy's been here for 8 months. And what does a large section of this fan base do? Oh, it's another bad manager. This manager needs to go. How many more times do you have to hire a manager, get it wrong, or not give him time, and still the manager takes the stick?
Yeah. Look, we'll definitely get onto the board in a minute because the next subject is about this summer, and I think we are going to talk about leaving Enoch a bit there.
Shame.
For sure, because look, at the end of the day, all roads lead where? At the end, they employ the recruitment team, they employ the managers, they build the systems and structures that should be successful. And if they're not, you've got to look at the train of where it all starts from. But just on Ange, I think Matt's left the show, by the way, people, because he fears I'm going to give Angelo a score, and he couldn't handle being here to hear it. I think he's worried I'm going to give Andrew 4 out of 10 or something. I think he'll be back. By the way, can everyone smash the like, subscribe? We've got over 220 odd people watching on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Also, Tottenham on tour. The link's in the thumbnail. It's in the description. Click on Brian Daigle's channel, like, subscribe, follow the boys over there as well. Make sure you support them too.
That was a deadly wave. Very good, Matt.
He's back.
I don't know what happened.
We thought you left because you were worried I was going to give Angelo a score and you didn't want to hear it. We thought you just disappeared.
Oh no! What was your number, Star?
I haven't given it yet. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you to come back.
Sorry.
Yeah, look, when it comes to Ange, for me, right, I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it because I need to back up where I'm going with it, right? I hate saying, oh, I've coached, I've done coaching, and I've done my UEFA Bs, I've done my talent ID level 1, 2, 3. I know a thing or two. I've met brilliant coaches in the game. I've met legends, brains like Ray Wilkins, the late Ray Wilkins. I know he's Chelsea, but he was a brain, that man. I'm telling you. I've met really good individuals that have developed. I met the guy that developed Harry Kane, Chris Ramsey, right? He's the same player that's developed Eze at Crystal Palace when he was at QPR. I've met people that know a thing or two. When Ange first came, that pre-season blew me away. And the reason it blew me away, I know what it takes to get a team to play that way. That takes 6 months, 9 months to really get it cooking. He's come in, and in pre-season, we were playing a style of football. I thought to myself, how has he got this lot playing like that quick? I've never seen anyone do that. Not the way we were playing pre-season. I know we were losing, but the way we were moving the ball, the work off the ball, the positioning in possession, out of possession, the transition. I'm thinking, these players were crap last year. What's going on here? So I really thought to myself, we've got a gem of a manager here. I'm wow. And then the first 10 games, I think I got caught up in the hype. I got caught up in the drama. When I look back at it, it was an improvement in style, but it wasn't something that was fluid and controlled. It was patchy. It was, here's a 20-minute burst. Wow, 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 wow. Then a 25-minute patch of, we've kind of lost our way now. But we were top of the table. All right, that Chelsea game came along. That Chelsea game, it is what it is. I think we mentally imploded. I think up here we self-destructed. And we allowed Chelsea to do what they did to us. Yeah, a couple of red cards. You could say, was it fair? Was it a bit of bad luck? All right, if you want to argue it, argue it. Since then, I think he's navigated some choppy waters really well with the players he had left after the suspensions, injuries, and international duty. I think he's done well to keep us in the top 4 race. The performances at times, I think, have been patchy, at times really stinky. Some performances have been, in my opinion, really, really good. Newcastle at home, Man United away, Villa away. For me, they were good, solid performances. Probably should have got more against Man United away. But I'm at a place now where I'm listening to what he's saying in the media, and I'm worried he's becoming a bit of a yes man. Now, he might be doing it to keep Levy sweet, because in his head, my best chance of getting back in is if I keep you sweet. But then he's going to die on this sword that he's building. So he's got to be careful how he does this, right? I get it. Keep them sweet. Keep the board sweet. Everyone's happy. I've got the best chance of getting support for my project. Whereas if he goes in like Conte did, bang, 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 the board are going to say, mate, you're getting no backing from us. Get out of the club. That's the way it's going to end up going. So he's trying to play the game, but he's got to be careful, because fans like us and the media will hold him account to the words that he's saying. So he's got to be careful with what he's saying. But the one big concern I've got with Ange, and the club knew this before they recruited him, which is why in the end I will blame Levy if it goes wrong, because you knew what you were signing. The people you employed to hire Ange, to select Ange, they must have done their due diligence to see what this manager's about. So you knew what you were getting into. This high line is not going to work long term. Right? It's not going to work, in my opinion. And I've coached a fair bit. Ange is far better than me. So don't even think I know better than Ange. I don't. But this high line will not work. There are moments in the game. There are, like Brian said, game management. There's certain teams you play. There's moments in the game, depending on time, scoreline, just drop 15, 20 yards back. Manage it from there. You don't need to sit on that halfway line as often as we do in every minute of every game, right? You're going to get caught out. This is the Premier League. This isn't Asia. This isn't Australia. And in Europe, the European managers are far more smarter than a lot of the managers in this country. That's why little Porto almost knocked out Arsenal. Managers know in abroad. And when we go into Europe, they'll suss us out like that. As soon as we play an Italian team, they'll know what to do, right? They'll know what to do to us. So he needs to adapt. But the problem here is, he said, it's what we are, mate. I'm not changing it. Guys, I'm just saying, I'm really worried about that, because if he doesn't adapt this, we're going to come unstuck. And the other thing, Matt, and yeah, look, I want you to challenge what I'm saying. The other thing I'm worried about with Ange, if you are going to play this high line, and if you are going to stick high up the pitch, you're adamant this is the way we're going to do it, then to counter the risk of this, you've got to be sensational in the attack. You've got to keep possession, not lose possession, move the ball far quicker, take your chances. You can't be missing open goals like Brennan Johnson and Timo Werner did. You can't be having Richarlisons who break up the play. You can't have Kulusevskis who are inconsistent. You can't have Brian Hills who, what has he done? You can't have Maddison who spends half the season injured. You can't have that if you're going to play the high line and you're not going to budge the high line. Then your attack has to be phenomenal, which means this Brennan Johnson, Richarlison, Timo Werner, it's madness, because it doesn't work if you're going to keep the high line every single game. If you drop the high line, then you can be a bit more flexible in some of the attackers you've got, which is why I said, if we sign Timo Werner, I'm Ange out. Not because I actually want him out, but I will not believe in the project because I know what's going to happen with that. The high line needs brilliant attack, which means you need to start signing the best players in those positions or elite players in those positions. Timo Werner's not elite. Brennan Johnson's not elite. Nor's Kulu, Nor's Richardson. Yes, they've got good games in them, but they are not going to be sustaining relentless attacks, converting chances, creating assists every single week to save us from the high line that gets caught out once in a while. So when it comes to Ange, look, first season, I'll give him a 7 out of 10, but I am concerned unless he adapts. Matt, go for it, man. Go for it.
Still, I'm pleasantly surprised that right at the end you've come with a number 7. I was expecting, the school report when you sat with your parents and your teachers kind of giving you an absolute dressing down, and then at the end they say, but actually, yeah, he's done quite well. So you've actually just finished that with a 7. So yeah, look.
Yeah, because Matt, Matt, let me tell you why I gave him a 7. I'll be quick. I give him a 10, but I take 1 off for the abysmal Carabao Cup choices he made. I take another point off because Man City, we didn't even lay a glove on them. For me, that's unacceptable no matter who we play in the FA Cup when we're at home. And I take another point off him because I don't think the performances have been as great as everyone's made out. So that's why I'm down to a 7. The fact we're in a top 4 race without Harry Kane, listen, fair play to the guy. You deserve the 7. I think that's impressive.
Yeah, look, I think I said to you many shows ago, when Ange came in, he had an in tray and he had an out tray. And on the eve of the season starting, this humongous out tray with the big name of Harry Kane. We sold Harry Kane 3 days before the season started.
Yeah. No replacement.
Even though discussions had obviously happened way before and it was on the opinion that he was leaving, the fact that the ink was dry on that contract 3 days before the season started without an able replacement, that could have broke other managers. The fact that he he seemed to, maybe in private, he probably said something else, but in front of the cameras, he seemed to be seamless. He was on the front foot and look, this is what we're going to do. We've got to replace him, but you can't replace his goals, but we've got to spread those goals throughout the team. We've got plans how we're going to do that. So we kind of almost gave the impression we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And we picked that into, don't forget, we drew the first game away and the mumblings were all not sure. Harry Kane would have been there. We would have beat, was it Brentford?
Yep.
Brentford away, first game of the season. So there was
2-2.
mumblings after the first, there was mumblings at the end of the game. Oh, not sure I suppose they're going to do without Harry Kane. Man United at home the next game. And I thought, barring a 15-minute spell that Man United had, I thought we played Man United off the park at home. And we got the momentum. So I've said to you before, Stal, fleas come with a dog, and I think we have a certain risk-reward pendulum. And at the moment, the risk is a little bit greater than the reward because we're not keeping the ball as well as we were at the start of the season. But if you pause some of those games at the start of the season, one bad pass or one miscontrol of the ball, and they're in. But because we were so assured on the ball, because it was seamless in how we were playing, we beat the press so many times. You play back that Arsenal game at the Emirates. They pressed us like you wouldn't believe in the first half, but we broke the press because players were assured. Basuma was on the top of his game, and we got out of some really difficult positions in that game, especially in the first half. We're not there. We're not there now. We're not that team at the moment, but we're slowly, I'm thinking, trying to get back to that level of play. I think he's done incredibly well. I really do. The shift, Brian and Stal, from where we were last season, not just results, performances, just the style in how we play. We were playing League One and Championship teams in the FA Cup and giving away possession. If you didn't know, you would think we'd had a player sent off. under Conte. We were playing teams in a lower league and giving possession away.
Matt, can I counter that?
That's all changed.
Has it though? Has it all changed? Because 10 games to go, right? We're on 28 games now. 10 games to go. This is when Conte got sacked. We are 1 point lower than where Conte was. We're on course to concede more goals this season than what Conte did. And we are 5 goals better, right? So in terms of scoring goals, we're not massively ahead. In terms of conceding goals, roughly the same. In terms of points, positioned in the league, we're lower. And Conte had Europe to deal with, and he had a defense of Emerson Royale, Eric Dyer, Ben Davies, Hugo Lloris in goal, and Højbjerg and Skip in a double pivot.
Don't forget long gap.
And long gap
Clement
instead of Dragusin. So when I actually look at it, and listen, I'm not trying to go in on Ange. Like I said to you, I'll give him a 7 out of 10. But when I hear fans say, look at the change, I don't see it. Other than we've had better, more exciting games this season, but I don't see that change, Matt.
In style of play or performances or results?
Well, everything. I think style of play has been better in some games. In terms of performances, performances are results, right? So in results, Conte's matched him, playing more games. In terms of so the atmosphere at the club's better. I think fans are more optimistic, and I think Levy's happier. And we've got the trumpet that plays before kickoff, and we've got all the jumping in the stands when we win. And the atmosphere's better for sure. He's a more unifying individual. He's more of a unifier. But in terms of what I see with the team, I don't see a big difference. Maybe if we finish really, really strong, I might change my opinion. But right now, I don't know. I don't see it, Matt.
Yeah, I just think we at the moment we have moments. It's not sustained. I'd agree with you there. We're not sustaining our dominance in football matches. So there are moments in games where we look a little bit pedestrian at the back when we're knocking it around. There doesn't seem to be much conviction in how we're knocking the ball around. But I really do think the mess that we were in at the end of last season, I would question how many other managers could have changed how we play and also connect the fan base, mainly. Lose arguably the best striker in club football, not replace him, and still have so much more of an uplift to go. And that's the part that excites me, that we are doing this with Timo Werner, Brennan Johnson, and Richarlison. That excites me. That excites me.
Joe, let me just add to this when we're talking. I want to go back on a few things you said. First of all, about playing the high line. We can absolutely play the high line, but it all revolves around Mickey van der Ven being there. The whole reason we can play that style of football is that man being fit. That's the reason.
Spot on.
And wanted him. He wanted him in because he wanted to play high. As long as he's got a beast with pace that can do, and we have clearly seen that Mickey van der Ven can do it.
Yeah.
When he isn't there to play that high line, what I believe is we need someone like Paulinho to say, right, okay, we're playing a high line. I'm going to be this beast in front of you, and you've got to go through me to get through that defense or get anywhere near that defense, and needs to be addressed. Like if Van der Ven is not there, then we need a Paulinho, not a Bissouma, not a Bentancur. Listen, Bentancur, I believe, can be a great number 6. I really believe he can, but he isn't. He's more of a Michael Carrick number 6. He's more of the quarterback, get the ball, very silky with it. But he's not a hard as nails, come and try and take me like a Vieira, a Keane, a 1 yard, a Kante, a Makalele. That for me is nigh on the biggest area we have to address this summer is getting a rock hard enforcer, as they call it in hockey over here, to sit in front of that back line. And then I go back to game management, and you're talking about as well. It's happened a couple of times in games, and I can't remember what game it was. But do you remember that home game when Porro looked like he was injured, and he was really bad, and he was hobbling? I can't remember if it was Wolves or Palace.
It was, and then he was out for two. Then he was out for 2 games,
and then he was like literally, he was finding it hard to walk.
Crystal Palace game.
It was the Crystal Palace game, and you could see he was clearly hurt. You could see that something was wrong. Yet he's still playing, and I don't care if it meant Emerson going back there or if someone had to fill in. Porro is essential to the way we play football. Porro and Destiny are vital. If Pedro Porro is on the ground and hardly able to walk, get the dude off the pitch. Get him. That's what I'm thinking about when I say thinking about games ahead. Without Pedro Porro, or like a James Maddison when he took a couple of whacks before he went off against Chelsea, and he was saying my ankle, and it's like no, carry on. I understand how vital these players are to the team, but especially Crystal Palace when you're 3-1 up. It's like, off you go, Porro. Off you go. Rest, recuperate. We don't want to make this worse. These are some of the things that have got to be addressed, because I don't like it when you see that a player, and Pedro Porro, I love that man. He's my second favourite player. When you saw the levels of discomfort he was in, and it did not look good. He doesn't go down unless he's not one of these that just go down and roll around. He looked genuinely in distress, but we kept him on. And I don't know why he's doing that. I don't understand.
No, it's a good point, and I think, as you say, the aftermath of that game is he missed the next 2 games because of that injury. So again, that could potentially be, I'm guessing, obviously they've got the mics. Someone would have said, how is it? He might have said, I'll try and get through it. I can't remember if he signalled I need to come off. But no, I take your point on that one. But look, is Van der Ven Rodri to us?
Without that, I said, Matt, and I think it was definitely one of my shows, but I think I said it on Stel's show. I said a couple of weeks ago, if someone came down and waved a magic wand at me and said, Brian, I can guarantee you that one Spurs player and one only stays 100% fit for the rest of the season, who would it be? I don't even need a second to think about it. Not a single second. For me, obviously, Rodri is, you're talking the elite of the elite, and he is the best in the world at what he does. But you've seen the results tail off when he's not there. Now, some people would say Vicario, and I think that's a great. If I had a second person, it probably would be Big Vic. But for the style of football we are playing and what we're trying to do, Mickey van der Ven, without a shadow of a doubt, to me, is the first name on the team sheet.
I've got a super chat here from Will L. Thank you, buddy. Second half FC under Conte and Ange. Arsenal jump on teams early. We could be 2 or 3 down before we start playing. That does seem to be a pattern at the moment for sure. I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, you guys agree with that? We are a bit of a...
It's spot on. Mate, there's 2 Matt, I'll be very quick. There's two examples I always give when this question comes up. Do you remember that season with Gerrard's slip and when Liverpool with Sturridge and Suarez? They were killing teams before half. It was done. And then in the last season at the Lane with Pochettino, we were doing exactly the same thing. West Brom, any team that came to White Hart Lane or away, it was done. They were like the second half, it was like game done. And I would much rather come out like that swinging and get the game done as quick as possible, rather than what we did with Conte, what seems to be happening recently with Postecoglou, where he must have a rollicking at them and we come out blistering for like 20 minutes. He's bang on the money. Will is absolutely bang on the money, in my opinion.
Look, don't know who you are. I've never met you in my life. But Christian, if you don't like me, don't watch. Right? You've put a whole host of messages up here. Clearly, I've tickled you. Stelios, Will you please be positive? We are rebuilding. Imposter, right? Because I've got a different opinion to you, that doesn't mean I'm negative, right? It means I'm passionate and that I've got a different opinion to you. You need to be able to tolerate the alternative opinion. Otherwise, you will forever be angry listening to people that don't agree with you. And then you say, I don't see you as a Spurs supporter. I mean, look, I've only supported the club for 30 years. I'm a season ticket holder. Change takes time. We are building something great. We've been building for 24 years under Levy. We're now 24 years into his 3-year project. You don't want to go down that road with me, by the way.
Or me.
And can I also say to you, Christian, right? The only reason you've got Ange and the only reason we are doing another rebuild is because fans like me and that man down there were protesting against this ownership every single week. The only reason you've got change is because the Levy out lot demanded enough is enough. So please don't say these things. Support is key. I've been supporting Spurs longer than you. And as for the rest of your comments, I can't be bothered. Right. So I hope I've answered your questions. If you're not happy with them, then by all means, unsubscribe. Unlike Chris Cowlin, you're his cup of tea.
You know the worst thing about it, still, when you said it,
Chris, he'll tell you what you want to hear.
I'm just going to add to what you just said, and it's all of those they can say. And he said it again, imposter over the edge. Sorry, I mean support is key. Stella and I have known each other for 33 years. I've supported Tottenham since, more than 30 years, but obviously very, very heavily for 30 years. Travelled home, away when I was back home. Season ticket holder during the dark days in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. Support is key. You're right. Support is key. But just because Stella, and certainly myself, don't think that where the club is going is right, I support this team with my dying breath. Literally, when we moved to Canada, one of the biggest issues I said to Alana is if I don't get to watch Spurs every single week, this ain't happening. This ain't happening. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, because you don't like where it's going. The Arsenal fans didn't like where it was going. They protested. Look where they are now. Liverpool fans weren't happy. Look where they're going. Newcastle, rather than having a good season. But just because right now people like myself and Stel will be very, very actively speaking about how we feel with the board, and Stel and I can be a very, very easy target because of what we do. It's part of the workload you have to take on if you're very vocal on YouTube or Twitter or any social media platform. There's going to be some people that agree with you, or a lot of people worldwide. There's going to be a lot of people that don't. But because. God, still.
Yeah. And I was going to say, for me, simple. If people don't agree or they don't like hearing it, don't watch. I've made it so clear.
I just don't understand that.
Do you know what? I just find it interesting. I even made a channel disclaimer. I've even got a channel disclaimer where I say to people, right, it's not a positive, it's not a negative, it's Tottenham. And I've gone to say what we're about. If it's not for you, you don't have to be here. But they all come here. Why? Why are you here?
You know what? And he just mentioned
there's something we're saying that hits the spot, right?
No, I've just got to do this because he's now mentioned how Arteta and Klopp turn things around. You've picked the two managers that are like red rags to a bull to me. So Arteta, when he got there, looked at the club and told the board, Aubameyang and Ozil are bad eggs. I don't want them training with the first team. In fact, I want them out. I want them gone. Get them out. Get them out. Get them out. Yeah, but what I'm saying is they gave them £350,000 a week contracts. And what did Arsenal do? Oh, I really like. This is on you. This is on you. This is literally, we're paying them the big bucks. But if you think they're, if Ange Postecoglou turned around and said, right, I think Sonny's an issue. Sonny is a huge issue. I want him gone. Have him training with the reserves. Do you reckon Daniel Levy will say, yeah, no problem. We'll get rid. Not a goddamn chance. Then you mentioned Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp, and everyone goes back to it with Jurgen Klopp, and rightfully so. They were trying to get rid of Coutinho. Klopp wanted to keep him, kept him till Christmas. And they said, what do you want to do with the money? I want to get the best goalkeeper in the world and then the best centre-back in the Premier League, if not Europe, if not the world, and spend all the money, I mean all the money, on these two players. Okay, you're the manager. That's what we'll do. Look what Liverpool's done. Whilst rebuilding Anfield, whilst rebuilding and getting all the stands done, look what they are doing. Look what they have done. We sold Harry Kane. What have we done with that money? Tell me the elite, jaw-dropping player, Premier League going, oh my God, look what Tottenham have just brought in. The last player Spurs brought in that the whole Premier League was like, holy crap, what have you done? Was Jurgen Goddamn Klinsmann. And that was in 1994. So when people use Klopp and Arteta, they need to really sit down and think about what they're saying before they bring them up, because they are the worst examples to use.
Listen, there's no context applied to these comments. By the way, big up to Kuva. He's gifted 5 memberships to the channel. Guys, grab those memberships. Thank you, Kuva. You didn't have to do that. Appreciate it, my man. Big up to you. And I will move on to the next subject, but very quickly, Just Fly. He said, I don't think fans changed anything. If Conte didn't say what he did, he would probably still be managing. So why did Daniel Levy then say at the start of this season, the fans got to me? You see how it doesn't add up, buddy? We make these comments, but we don't think about what's been said. You can't back it up, right? Fans force change. Is the change good enough? Probably not. We'll find out. We'll see. But anyway, I want to get on to this part of the show, guys. It's my favorite part, actually. And that is your questions, people. We put up a link in the community section, and each week we're getting more and more questions. So we'll go through your questions and we'll see how many we can answer. So the first question is from LP Coys. Stel, are you seriously Ange out if we sign Timo Werner? Don't go on that hill just because Ange rates the player and you don't. Yes, I will be Ange out, even though I don't want him out, but I will lose faith in his project because I don't believe that when the teams you've got to compete against, such as Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City, they're the teams we need to beat for silverware. When their wide players are Salah, Foden, and Saka, elite performers, if you think Timo Werner, and if Ange thinks Timo Werner is our response, it's delusion of the highest level. So yeah, I won't die on that. I won't die on that hill. Ange will end up getting sacked with players like that. I've seen it before. Anyway, let's do a question that we can all answer. Okay, you were saying after the Fulham game you're still confident in the top 4. Would like to know, considering the up and coming tough fixtures with the teams above us, where you see the points coming from and where you see Villa and even United dropping to, sorry, where they would drop points. I can't help thinking we almost mirror that Leicester team under Brennan Johnson's, where they were flying high for 2 seasons in top 3 or 4, and then they would collapse and the other teams overtake their spot. That comes from Jasrav. Big up to you. Yeah, Matt, where do you think Spurs will finish this season? Where will the points come from if you think it's top 4? And where are Villa and United dropping points for us to get top 4 and for them not to catch us?
Yeah, I think they're both still in their cup competitions. Villa obviously in the conference and Man United in the FA Cup. So I just think there will be a natural pivot to extra exertion because they're now in the knockout stages. So it's winner takes all. So I would imagine either the game before or the game after one of their cup matches, I would imagine them either drawing or losing. Villa have still got some tough fixtures. Villa's fixtures are very similar to ours, as in they've got to play a lot of the top 6. So I still think we'll make 4th. but I think it's going to go down to the last game, Sheffield United away. I think it would depend on that result.
Ryan, what do you think? And also, the last two games looked really nice for us. Burnley and Sheffield United, the two teams at 19th and 20th. But with Chelsea and Man City yet to be rescheduled, you just know one of those games now is going to be the second to last game, right? You can feel what the Sky Sports TV broadcasters are going to do to us. You can sense it.
Yeah, I think you can feel a Friday night 8:00 game coming in, because they seem to love that time slot for us.
Chelsea away. Chelsea away.
Well, that was what it was meant to be. It was meant to be the Friday before the Carabao Cup, so maybe it will be again. I can't think of anywhere worse I'd want to be than Friday at 8:00 in the evening than that dump of a stadium. I think we finished fifth. I honestly think we finished fifth. Whether that is good enough for Champions League, we'll find out. Like I said, if you look at the fixtures, I said I'm not confident with Luton. I think Luton, and I pray they stay up. I have really enjoyed watching Luton, and they deserve a huge amount of credit for the performances they put in. They're going to come fighting. They are going to come with a real anger, passion. Like I said, like Bournemouth did last year. Is Van der Ven fit? We don't know. They're saying hopefully back after international break, but we know what normally happens with our injury record. West Ham away. I've got a feeling that we're not going to win there. The only game I really am hoping we win. Listen, I hope we win all games. But if someone said you could only get a 3-point game, will it be? It'll be against Arsenal for obvious reasons. The fixtures are starting to pile up. Our game in hand, you've got to remember, this is the all-important game in hand, Chelsea away. To close that gap on Villa, where Villa can't do anything about it, and we've blown the 2-point. It could have been what took us above them, and we've blown that. Is if someone said to a Spurs fan, you have a game in hand, and you can pick where that game in hand is, where do you want it to be? You could ask 10 million Spurs fans, and not one of them would say Chelsea away. Not one of them. It is the worst fixture to have, and we've still got to go there. And we've seen in history, when we've gone there and we've needed to get a result, we know what happens. And I can just see, I think we've got a few more coming our way. I really do. So fifth.
Yeah, I actually think with how Pochettino plays, how he sets up, I think almost like the Villa, almost like the Arsenal. I think teams that leave spaces, I think we're better suited. I think the teams that are harder to break down, I think that's where we struggle. So history says that the Chelsea away is a horrible fixture, but I just got this feeling. I've got this feeling we do something at Stamford Bridge. I really do. I might be absolutely miles off it.
Don't let that.
Don't do that. Don't have feelings.
I think we do something.
Just hope.
Honestly, I think we're going to do something.
I think Spurs will get top four, but if we don't get it, then I think it's Man United that will pip us. I think Villa will slowly fall off. I think if you look at Unai Emery's history as a manager, he's never finished top four other than with PSG. But let's be honest, PSG come either first or second every year. But in Spain and England, he's always missed out on top four. He missed out with Arsenal a couple of years. He misses out with the Spanish teams he's managed. He's a European and a cup manager. That's his specialist skill set, I would say. Consistency to get enough points to finish top four. He's never done it. So I think we finish above Villa. I think Man United. I hope that Liverpool FA Cup game hasn't woken them up. I hope that doesn't give them that surge, because they've got Rasmus Højlund back as well now. They're out of Europe. Okay, they've got the FA Cup, but it's 1 or 2 extra games. We will see. But I think Spurs will just do it. I think we will just about get top four. we're actually better at turning up in the big games than what we are the mid-table. It's the mid-table teams we stink at. The lower level we seem to beat. We just about beat Forest, just about beat Sheffield, just about beat Burnley 1-0 in the FA Cup. We seem to find just about get past Palace. Those teams we find a way. That middle bracket, those 4 or 5 teams in the middle, that's where we collapse.
Still,
Top teams we tend to turn up in general. Even when we lost to Villa and West Ham at Spurs, we gave it a go. Do you know what I mean? We gave it a go. We weren't overwhelmed. We just couldn't get the goals. So
that's the game I worry about. West Ham away. That's the game.
Of course. But I think we'll turn up, Matt. I think we'll give them a game.
All I will say is, listen, when it comes to Chelsea,
Low block.
I have learned after many years.
Chelsea, I don't think we're going to win, Brian. I don't think we're going to win.
Chelsea, I will never ever go into that game thinking we're going to win, ever. When you look at it, and it shows how long we've been supporters. Dele Alli got that last 2 when Christian Eriksen scored. We won that game 3-1. The last striker, or the last player, sorry, to score a winning goal at Stamford Bridge in the league before that was Gary Lineker. So when it comes to this game, I am just like, I go in thinking defeat. If we get a draw or a win at Stamford Bridge, I am absolutely goddamn delighted. If we
winning a cup.
Stop. It's Chelsea. It's Chelsea. So I never in this would I ever think anything less than a defeat.
Yeah, you take a draw there, right? You take a draw.
If someone said to me now, you get a draw at Stamford Bridge, I'm taking it all day long.
They're in Anfield. They're in Anfield.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
We've got a question in the comments, and also Tim Man, I've seen your super chat. I'll do it at the end because I just want to get the YouTube questions done first, right? I haven't ignored it. I will come back to it. Guys, we've got about 250 people watching. Smash a like, follow Tottenham on Twitter as well. Make sure you support Brian Daigle. William says, if the club decide they don't like Ange, where the hell do we go then? How can one club go through? Listen, mate, I think we can't really answer that question because Ange is still the manager. So that's something we've got to tackle if he leaves or gets sacked. As it stands, I think.
Still, can I just say, I've said
prediction would be implosion. It would be an implosion.
Put it this way, I've said to people and everyone, but my closest, that no, I don't plan to come back to England, thank God, till April 2025 because I've got a couple of big family events. I've told Ilana I'm not going back to England unless there's a catastrophic reason to go. If Ange Postecoglou gets sacked or leaves, I will tell Ilana my flight home is on standby, depending on who comes in, because that will be it. This will be. So many people have said, "Oh, this is his last chance. This is Levy's last appointment. This is Levy's last." If this goes tits up, not that I think it will. I don't think it's going in the summer. I will be the protest. I will be. I don't even care if it has to be a one-man wrecking ball. I will be home and I will go absolutely parabolic.
Yeah, listen, I predicted implosion. If let's see, he's still Spurs manager, right? Ray the Yid, he asks the question. Is it Ray? Yeah. What realistically would a season we win a cup in? Sorry, what realistically
means in what season do we win a cup?
Depends who. Right, me, it depends who we sign, Ray. If we don't bring in quality, we're not winning anything. That's my view. Matt?
I think the summer's huge, and I think we've got players that we need to move on, and Ndombele's and Reguilons and so forth, free up the wage bill. But why not next season? Why not win a trophy next season? You know, barring drawing Man City away in the third round or something like that, then you're in the lap of the gods. But why not next season?
We say that every season, though, Matt. Next season.
What's that?
That is,
but
everything at Spurs is next season. One progress, building, one for the future. It's always some point in the distant future.
But obviously, he's only been in the job 8 months, so we cannot. He's going to be painted with the same brush as all the other managers and Daniel Levy, but it's not his fault. He's only been there 8 months, so we can only, the only fair thing to do is assess him on his spell in the seat, which is 8 months. And I think,
well, he chose to make 9 changes in the Carabao Cup.
well, I was just going to say that, look, we talk about the players having an adaptation period, Dragerson and Van der Ven. There's an adaptation period for him, you know. Maybe at Celtic, you can rest 7 players and beat Motherwell in the next round, but you can't do that in the English Premier League. So he'll be a better manager for this season, and he will learn about the fans' thoughts on the Fulham Carabao Cup defeat, and I don't think he'll make the same choice again come next season. So here's a question for you. Jurgen Klopp's first season at Liverpool. What defender did he sign in January 2016?
So Van Dijk, he signed in January, didn't he?
2016. Anyone in the panel? Anyone on the chat? So Jurgen Klopp joined in 2016. January transfer window. What defender did Jurgen Klopp sign?
Just trying to think.
No idea. Was it Moreno? That rubbish.
Jurgen Klopp signed Steven Kolka on loan.
If I had 10 million guesses, I still wouldn't have got it. I wouldn't have got that. No.
Okay, so the point of the question is that he signed him on loan, and all the Liverpool fans were like, "What on earth is this guy doing?" Steven Kolka was at Queen's Park Rangers and signed him on loan. So I'm with you to a point still on Timo Werner if he signs in the summer. I'm not Ange out, by the way, but if he signs him permanently in the summer, there'd be a question mark. But I think
big difference, Matt, here. But big difference, though.
Go on.
You said, all the Liverpool fans said, what are you doing?
Yep.
A lot of Spurs fans are saying, 15 million, cheap, sign him, makes sense. Our fans aren't calling it out. Some are. Most are saying, do you know what? As long as he's not the main signing, I can see why signing him as the backup option makes sense. Experienced, Premier League. Our fans are different. Our fans are prepared to accept it. Whereas you said, the first thing you said was, Liverpool fans, what are you doing? I'm the only one saying, what the hell are we doing with Timo? Well, not just me. There's a few other Spurs fans as well. So don't you think there's a bit of a difference here, though?
Potentially. I mean, obviously, we all know what Jurgen Klopp went on to do, and obviously, 2 seasons later,
he signed Salah. He signed Firmino. He signed Mane. Look, these are players. Brett Johnson's, what's his name? Berners and Veliz. Can anyone tell me?
Mane should have been a Spurs player. Mane should have been a Spurs player.
He's having a medical.
He shouldn't have even gone. He shouldn't have even gone to Liverpool. He should have been.
Mane was having a medical. He's having a medical.
Had it all, and we all know what normally happens. But going back to what Ray said, do you know what? Where I think we next win a cup isn't next season; it's the season after. I keep mentioning this, and I don't think people are really thinking about this. This window, this transfer window, as big as it's meant to be or needs to be, there's a huge problem with it, that there's a Euros and a Copa America damn smack in the middle of the summer. So any players that you're going to try and recruit that hopefully are good enough that they're playing for their countries, as soon as they're on the training camp, we've seen it before. When Teddy Sheringham went to United, Harry Kane's been away. I'm not discussing my future. I'm here representing my country, and all I have in my mind is representing whatever country it is. So there's an issue. Then if they have a good Euros or a good Copa America, their price goes sky high because of their value and obviously their recency, their recent great performances. Then after the Euros or the Copa America, they go on holiday because they have the extended summer. So they don't even start training till later. So this window, we need to, like we were very active, whether you're pro or con Werner, got that done very, very quick. With Vicario and a couple of transfers in the summer, we were very quick. That we need to be like Jose Mourinho used to do and try and get as much as we can done. Like the key players, no muttering around and stuttering. You want this amount, we'll give you that amount. No, you give us that. It needs to be, what do you want? What do you need? Okay, not saying we agree bang smack on every single price they agree on, but if they're vital to Ange, you get this done quick. So they go to their tournaments as a Tottenham Hotspur player, not a Tottenham Hotspur player Spurs have registered their interest in or monitoring the situation. It needs to be, Ange wants him. He's going away on a Euros or a Copa America. Let's get him done. That's why I'm saying I don't think we win a cup next season, because hopefully we are in Europe in any form. There's just going to be so much going on. I don't know if we'll have the quality. We'll definitely have the quantity, because that's all we always do. We just won't have the quality. So I reckon the season after next is when this trophy drought ends.
I want to go on to the next question, Matt. I'll let you jump in again, but very quickly, I don't think we're winning any trophies unless Ange adapts the system slightly, like I explained earlier, or we bring in the level of quality so that the attacking phase is that good. People in the comments saying that Klopp didn't want Salah, the club signed him. Okay, our club signed Richarlison. Where do you want to go with that, right? And
Jed Spence.
Jed Spence, right? So clearly their club knows how to sign players for the managers. Our club signings tend to backfire. MB, I mean, this is bonkers. Chelsea got rid of Salah and De Bruyne, says it all. Chelsea, the most decorated English side over the last 20 years. If they fucked up once, mate, they got it right, bang on the money for 20 years. So again, I don't think we can look at Chelsea. Don't compare us to teams that have been so freaking successful and then say, but look at them. Like they got it right most of the time. Yeah, Matt, did you want to say something to what Brian said?
No, it just really to on the back of Brian. I think the signings have been good since Ange took over. The implementation of players that were either out on loan or not featuring have been good. Basuma, Udogie, and Porro. I think the question marks are Brennan Johnson. Timo Werner is certainly a question mark, but I'm hoping that's only a loan. And I think the next phase of Tottenham is having versatile attackers that can play across the front three positions, are good in a one-on-one duel, and have a high conversion rate. Those are the next stages for Tottenham. And I'm hoping in the summer we address that. If we can get one, hopefully two players that can play across the front three, that can do those things I've just mentioned, we're a far stronger team next season. Just imagine we're playing with Brennan Johnson, Timo Werner at the moment, and Richarlison, and we're fifth.
This is why I'm going to be Ange out, Matt. If I see these players at Spurs, I'm done. This project's like that. I know I'm going to be so right on this. If we sign Timo, you wait and see with this. In 2 years' time, we'll be in a big meltdown. And by the way, I'll put a comment just here. People, you can banter each other from all different clubs in the chat. Don't get personal and fire these crazy digs at each other, right? I don't mind if non-Spurs fans are here. Just everyone keep it simple. Back to the questions. We've got Rathish and Rathish and Ads SMC both are asking about the Barnaby video and Sonny appearing on the debate. Look, guys, great news. So I did the video yesterday. The choice is yours. Barnaby and Sonny Talk Spurs. They've agreed to do the debate. So we're on. Barnaby, Sonny, myself and Maz. It will be going live next week once I've set it all up and we've agreed the time and date. Rez will be the moderator. So we've got a mod as well who's going to host it. It's going to be a cracker because watch the video, in fact, rather than me going over it again. Watch yesterday's video and then you'll see what it's about. But yes, they're going to do the debate. So should be a good one. Looking forward to that, actually. Really looking forward to that one.
Fantastic.
Yeah, listen. And do you know what? Respect to them, because the amount of Spurs fans that won't have people like us on their channels or refuse to debate is unbelievable. So
yeah,
it's about to be in Sunny Talk Spurs. Lily White Lane says, Stel, Matt, I'll put Brian as well. Stel, Matt and Brian, would you look at selling Basuma this summer? And if so, who would you want to bring in? Oh, that's a big question. Brian?
It's an easy question.
Take it away.
Yes, and Paulina.
Yeah. Would you keep Basuma as a backup?
I just don't know. Do you know what? It's like you said as well, when we look at these players.
Move him into the 8, maybe? Move him into the 8, an option in the 8?
Maybe. But if it meant... This is what I'm getting. What I've said before is we get too sentimental on players. And oh no, he can be good. Wait, he might become good. He might. There might be a player there. We ain't got time to muck around. And I've said, even with players that I love, like I am a fan of Højbjerg. He hasn't had the best of seasons, but I first 2 seasons I adored him. I thought he was amazing. But I was like, if we can get a better player than him in his position, do it. This is what it's about. We need to have the best team with the best players and make the money and get rid of... I've got no time to say, yeah, don't worry. When you have Harry Kane or Son, you're not getting better. You're not getting better. There's no point trying to upgrade. You can't. Basuma has been a huge disappointment apart from 10 games. He started against Villa and Palace to look like he's coming back up. They looked like there was a progression and he was finding some form again. But he just, I mean, We Are Tottenham TV, I think, gave him a 3 and a 4 Basuma in the player ratings. And I spoke to Ben and I was like, if I was doing the player ratings with you, Basuma would have been lucky to get a 1.5. He was that poor. He was shocking. And he's like that too many times. You know what you're getting with Paulinho. Yes, he may pick up bookings. Yes, he may get a couple of suspensions. But then you rectify that. I'd rather have a guy like him that plays consistently. Always the number one tackler in the Premier League. Always. I would swap him in a heartbeat for Basuma. You still raised a good point saying, would you move him into a different position? That maybe. But if someone said, right now, you get Paulinho, but you save, you have to sell Basuma, all day long. All day long.
Matt.
I like Paulinho. I like him. Here's another stat for you. Fulham Tottenham. Paulinho won 9 ground duels in that match, which was more than our midfield 3 put together.
Matt, we didn't have a midfield 3.
So
we played with no midfield. Non-existent.
Yeah. So him by himself won more duels than Madders, Sarr and Basuma put together. So that's another stat that I'm sure will be shared with the players. I like him. I wouldn't sell Basuma personally. And the reason the answer for that very quickly is we've got Højbjerg, we've got Lo Celso, that Lo Celso is going to be the last year of his contract in the summer. So we have to make a decision on that. So do you sell Lo Celso, Højbjerg and Basuma in one summer? Not sure. I still think there's a player in Basuma. Would he start if we saw Paulinho? Maybe not. But I personally would look to keep him. I think there's players in that midfield position that we could move on first. And that would be Højbjerg and potentially Lo Celso.
Yeah, I think for sure Højbjerg and Skip need to be moved on. Not because I think they're both crap, but I think they just can't do the system that we play. I thought Højbjerg was perfect for Mourinho, perfect for that way of playing, but for this, no. No. I would probably tell you what I would do in an ideal world, but obviously it's nice to dream. Bring in Paulinia. I agree with that. I'd keep Basuma as an option for the 8. But as a backup, if we can get him on a loan for a year or on a cheap somehow, we can get Joshua Kimmich.
Yeah,
he's getting a bit. He's moving on a bit. He's getting on a bit at Bayern as cover. But then we're not going to get 2 players, are we? So yeah, probably just Paulinho.
Do you reckon we've now got a special relationship with Bayern like we did with Real Madrid for Gareth Bale? That special relationship where they help us with precisely nothing and they take our best players.
100%, we've got a special relationship. Yeah, for sure. Question. We've got another one here. Keep it real says, if we are to realistically challenge for a trophy or title next season, which players in our existing squad are genuinely capable of doing so, and how many more do we need to bring in? Can I go first?
Please.
I would change most of the midfield. I'll change the entire attacking lineup except for Son. I don't think any of them are cut out for it. Maybe Kulu as a bench player. I don't think Brennan Johnson's right. I don't think, my thoughts on Timo. Richarlison, no. Brian Hill, no. Veliz, no. Solomon, no. None of them. None of them. The question is specific about titles and trophies. That's the elite, the highest achievement, right? None of them are at that level. Not one of them except for Son. So I'd change everything we've got in the attacking lineup, a lot of them. In midfield, I like Lo Celso. I think when he has been fit and he's played for us, he's delivered. But he's just made a glass. So what's the point? He's got to go. Skip and Højbjerg don't fit the system. They've got to go. Basuma, if you replace him with Paulinho, I wouldn't cry about it. I'd keep Bentancur 100%. He's a top player. But he's got to be the Bentancur pre-ACL injury. He hasn't shown that yet. Maddison, so I'd probably keep Maddison, Bentancur, and Sarr, if I'm honest. So that's 3, which means you need another 3 midfielders. So I think we need 3 midfielders. I think we need 3 wide players, another striker. So that's 5. Plus 3, that's 8. Cover for the wing backs. That's 10. I think we need another 8 or 10 players, if I'm honest about it. We need and we're in Europe. So there's my answer, guys. We need 8 or 10 more players.
Go on, Matt.
I like to keep the spine. I think the spine is really important in any squad. I wouldn't touch the defenders, but I would say central defenders. I'd add another. I like the guy from Fulham. Both players from Fulham, actually. The left back. Can't remember his name. The left back.
Robinson.
I thought he was excellent against. Yeah. I thought he was excellent against us last week. And Tosin Adarabioyo, that's his name. I like him as well.
He was brilliant on Saturday.
Yeah, I like him on a free transfer.
We'll definitely get him in.
Like I say,
if he's free, 100% we'll get him in. I guarantee.
We're in for him.
That is 100% coming to Spurs.
Yeah. He's out of contract in the summer.
Yeah. So I bet you it's done already. I bet the deal's done already. I bet
Yeah. Midfield, like I said, we just have to be conscious that there's probably Højbjerg, Lo Celso, potentially Skip that will probably be moved on. So can you go into Europe and the Premier League and cup competitions with just Bentancur and Basuma? So I think we definitely need to thicken up the midfield. We seem to be all over the Atalanta midfielder Ederson, the Brazilian, who I do rate. I think he's a fantastic footballer. He reminds me of Bruno from Newcastle, but with pace. He does a little bit of everything. So I think he'd be a fantastic signing for us in the middle of the park. I also like the Wolves midfielder who scored the double against us. Is it what's his name?
I remember his
the guy
name, but
scored.
he had a very good game.
Yeah,
He had a very good game.
I do like him. He does. To play in that midfield of Ange, you have to be versatile, multifaceted. You have to be able to run. You have to be able to be good in possession. And you also have to be quick thinking. And unfortunately, Skip and Højbjerg, it takes them too long. It takes them too long to by the time we're dispossessed. So we need more footballers with that type of skill set. And up front, we need. I wouldn't get rid of them all like Stow. I still think we've got options, but I think we need a number 9, and we need at least one who can play across the front 3 that is very good in a one-on-one duel, and that could be the Norwegian kid that we kind of bid 25 million for, and he failed a medical. We need somebody that can move the ball quickly. We're too slow. When the ball goes wide, we're too slow on the ball. We need Diaz. You watch Diaz for Liverpool. He gets that ball. He attracts players to him. We don't have a player that they leave Werner on a one-on-one because they know he's not really a threat. We need somebody that can attract players to them. And if we leave them on a one-on-one, they can get past their man. So I don't know who that player is, but I'd say 2 attacking players. I'd keep Richarlison as a option. I would keep Brennan Johnson as an option. I wouldn't renew Timo Werner. And we've still got Valise. Jury's out on Valise.
Okay, I'll just add a few things in here. First of all, on the back of Matt, I'll tell you now, and I do know this. Watch this summer. Spurs make genuine attempts, and I mean genuine. They tried to in January, they inquired, or the name was touted about. I know for a fact that they are going to be pushing the boat out to try and bring Jonathan David in, the Canadian. That is a very, 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 that's a name very, very, very high up on the list. So I expect him to actually sign for Tottenham. I think Jonathan David will get done when it will, whether it's before the year. He's not affected by Euros and Copper, obviously. I think that's an addition that's coming in this summer. If I had to say name one player that's definitely coming to Tottenham this summer, I would say Jonathan David. So you heard that here.
Is he a number 9, Brian? What's
he can play anywhere. He plays number 9 for Canada. He can play anywhere on that front line. What he's got a lot of pace. He's got a lot of power. He does need to work on his finishing a bit. And when I say that, he's one of those players like Jermaine Defoe. Like if you give him instinct, he'll put it in the back of the net. He's got a rocket of a shot. If he's running through one-on-one like Timo Werner was against Palace, and we saw what Timo Werner did and did what Sonny did, not saying he would have the same outcome as Jonathan David, but he starts thinking about, what should I do? Should I dink it? Should I shoot it? Should I curl it? So give him instinct. He'll put it in the net. But this is stuff he can work on. He's got a lot. He's got pace to burn. He has got a lot of power. And his aerial ability is very good. So I think he would. Not only do I see it happening, I actually think it'll be a very good addition. I really do. There's another Canadian I would have wanted, but he went to Inter Milan, who I love even more, Tajon Buchanan. But be heavily or be ready to see Jonathan David name mentioned. What I will say about this is, this is why I kind of want us to go and.
A lot of people in comments are disagreeing about Jonathan Davies.
Well, that's the reason. Let them. I've seen him at close quarters. Obviously, there's other people that may have. If Scott M's here, I don't know what Scott M would say. I think obviously Scott M will know. People who are just seeing playing out in France, saying what they think of him. This is you'll see when he comes. I think he will be a good addition. That's my personal opinion.
Better than Richarlison?
Oh, Yeah, I'd say so. I would say he. But put it this way, I'd say he offers more off the ball than he does than Richarlison does off the ball, and he's got explosive pace. Jonathan Davis, Alex Scott, he's not rubbish. I'll guarantee you that. He may not be the we want a name like Harry Kane to replace that number 9 and have that iconic striker. But we'll see. Let other people think what they want. We shall see. What did people think about Dimitar Berbatov when he came? Anyone know about Dimitar Berbatov?
Everyone is slagging off this guy in the comments. It's like Brian Daigle said, Eric Dyer.
Yeah, literally.
Said Eric
Scott M just put a comment in. Scott M just put a comment in.
So Scott M's from Canada. He says David is better than Richarlison, but we should want more. He is a guy that would be effective at all 3 forward positions. I would prefer him as a bench player than a starter.
That could be that. I can understand. I think he comes in and does a job. Scott M has seen him a lot more than me. Obviously, I've only been here 6 years. Scott M has been there all his life. I think he's a good addition to Tottenham Hotspur. Do I think he's absolutely brilliant? No. Do I think he sets the world right? No. I've just said, as a player that I think is coming in, will be Jonathan David. But the other part I was trying to get at is this is another reason why I want Europa League rather than Champions League. Because if I want us to take the domestic cup seriously, I want us to respect them with the respect that they deserve, and in this trophy drought. And if we get the Europa League, Stel, you mentioned it before, Ange doesn't see it that these youngsters will get a chance in the first team next season.
Some don't think they're good enough.
In Divine, maybe. You look at people like Donnelly.
None of them.
Well, I know I've got my bias and hoping.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry.
That he will come through. But we've set up this pathway for these players to get in. And if we don't use them, they will want out. And I honestly think being in that Europa League will give them the game time to use them. Every other week when we're travelling away to wherever it may be, take a handful of first teamers there, leave the rest at home, and literally use the domestic season to go for everything. Obviously, the league is a push, but you can literally play a full team in the Carabao Cup. You can play a full team in the FA Cup because you're taking the kids out. And I think it's imperative. One of my biggest hopes for next season is that the youth players get their chance to shine, because we could have a golden crop of players here. And if we don't use them, they will get to the end of their contracts and want out. Obviously, Phillips and Vuskovic and others are tied down, so I'm not talking about them. Jamie Donnelly deserves bloody game time. I'd play him in the first team now, or I'll give him a bit part in it. 19 assists already, on fire. Europa League could be a very good place for him. Alfie Devine, your Phillips, all of them. So I think it all depends on how we're going to look after the youth, because we should be taking the Carabao Cup bloody seriously. We should be taking.
Let me come on to the next question, because it's actually about that, right? NAWHL, mate. All these fake Twitter account names are hard work. Some fans are critical each year when Spurs don't win the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. Bringing up the statistic, the Carabao Cup has not been won since 2008. On average, Spurs win the Premier League or First Division every 71 years. However, fans are not critical every year when Spurs don't win the Premier League. Why do we not hear moans and groans about this? Given that winning the Premier League is the ultimate achievement of any top club, do you think that fans lack ambition by setting the sights only on the inferior domestic cup competitions? It is clear that Ange is primarily interested in winning the Premier League and is playing the long game to achieve this. Should fans be backing him or criticising him for this? If fans are criticising him for this, should they be questioning their own ambition? Wow. Just wow. I mean, I think fans, listen, I'll just say my bit. The fans should be questioning the ownership's desire to win any trophy and not be critical of the manager, but the board We've had 24 years to put together a winning team, right? We've got a stadium they've built that hasn't delivered one winning team. We've got an academy that hasn't developed a crop of winning youngsters. We've got a first team training center that hasn't developed one winning team. The Cronkies have been in charge of Arsenal, actually owning it, full ownership for 5 years. They've won an FA Cup and they're challenging for the league title and the Champions League. FSG were in charge of Liverpool for 10 years. They've won everything. And bear in mind, Liverpool hadn't won a Premier League for 30 years. Leicester City's owners were in charge for 12 years. They got them promoted, won the league, won the FA Cup. I think this question shouldn't be directed to Ange. Direct it to the ownership. What have you done? Because they've given it to 17 different managers, 6 different heads of recruitment directors, head scouts, right? Everything has changed at this club. Sponsor, stadium, training ground, revenues, players, coaches, managers, you name it. For me, I can't answer this question because I'm going to lose my mind. But the fans should be criticising the owners of Tottenham Hotspur, not any manager. And that includes Stellini, Mason, and Nuno. Don't criticise any manager, right? That's my take on it after 24 years. So if you guys want to add to that, feel free. If you just want to say move on, we can move on. It's up to you. I mean, you might have a different view.
Brian, go for it.
No, I mean, still, obviously, you and I, when it comes to this, sing off the same hymn sheet. I don't
questioning
get it.
Our ambition.
I just
our ambition. Us.
I don't understand. I don't understand where questions like this come from. It beggars belief. When you look at it, Spurs' history,
I want to cry.
Our illustrious history, and it is illustrious, and it is a long time back. Spurs were known as the Cup team. Spurs were the first and only team to win the FA Cup, the non-league team. That will never, ever, ever, ever be repeated again, no matter how long time goes on. We were the first. We were the first to win in so much. We were the first to win the FA Cup 8 times. When we won that in 1991, if someone had said to me, 33 years will pass and you won't even be in a final, I'd have said, what are you talking about? That's our cup. We are known for it. You speak, like I said, Arsenal during all the time that the Cronkies have been there, or even before, they were behind us. They've now won it 16 times. It's their cup. It's their cup. And you carry on looking at these things, and it keeps going on and on and on. And there's teams that have wanted their management out. Look at Manchester United with the Glazers. They're at Wembley winning the Carabao Cup against Newcastle, and their fans are singing, "We want Glazers out."
Mourinho's been in the European Cup for Man United, and they want him out.
Yeah, this is the thing that I don't get. I don't get why it's always aimed at the manager. I simply don't get it. This club,
Right. Look, is it Matt as well? Is it fair to say this, right? If an ownership takes over a club, a big club, so let's say I put Everton, Villa, I put them into the big club category as well. Okay, they've lost their way a bit over the years. Fair enough. If an ownership takes over a big club, and after 5 years you've not won anything, you've chopped and changed managers, but they've told you there's a bit of financial restructuring that needs to happen. They've got to put in some groundwork for the future. All right. Then you get to 10 years and you kind of look at what have you done over the last 10 years? A few questions begin to get asked. Yeah. Once you get to 24 years, are we at a point where, you know what? You've been here 24 years. You've exasperated 17 different managers. We can't be looking at managers anymore. Right? Surely after 5, 8, 10 managers, you say maybe the managers were to blame. Santini wasn't good enough. Jerry Francis was crazy, right? George Graham never stood a chance in hell at Spurs. You can kind of say, look, the manager, this is kind of a manager issue. Once you get to that Poch, Mourinho, Conte, you start saying, well, hold on a minute. and this applies to any club. This applies to any club. There's only so many managers you can go through before you keep blaming the manager. Do you agree with that?
Still, one sentence.
It's got one sentence for us to keep blaming managers.
I've got one sentence for this, and it's what I was going to say before you brought this question up, and it shows how stupid some of our fan base is. It really is. Do you remember when Arsenal went through an 8-year drought, and we used to sing 5 years and you've won fuck all, 6 years? Literally, it got to 8 years. We've doubled that.
12. They went 12 years without a trophy.
We've gone 6. No, they went 8. They won the FA Cup. They went 8. Then they won the FA Cup with Arteta. We've doubled it. We've doubled it. Yeah, it was okay for us to take the piss out of them lot.
They call us Spursy, so we didn't get it. We just get called Spursy and bottle jobs, right? We do get it. We do get stick.
They went 8 years without winning anything, and then they went on winning cups, FA Cup. We've gone 16 years. 16 years without winning a sodding thing. But this seems to be acceptable because we're going for the league, or there's always an excuse. Always an excuse. We have, as Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, we'd won a trophy minimum every single decade, apart from the last decade, which was our first decade without winning a trophy.
I've got it here. There's the breakup. That's the breakup. So so Levy and Enoch have been here for 25 years. So I've done 25-year blocks. In terms of average league position, top 4, they've maintained us. In terms of trophies, they're the worst ownership in 125 years. Fact. You can't argue it. This is data that you can't be changed. You can't go back in time and change it. I think like big clubs, so this is saying, are we unambitious because we only want the small trophies? Pep Guardiola won the Carabao Cup every single year. He didn't need to. Why? Why did he do that? Liverpool, they win Carabao Cups, FA Cups, as well as the bigger prizes. I just think if you're a big club mentality that's ambitious, you go for everything. Just win as much as you can. Just go after the lot. The Carabao, the Charity Shield, the FA, the Europa, the European Conference League, the Champions League, the Premier League. Even if you get relegated, go for the title. Go and win Division 1 or whatever it's called, the Championship. I think the mentality should be just win everything. Just win everything you can, right? Not we're just going to target that one trophy. Matt, what do you think about this? Do you think we should be putting all our eggs into one basket and just going for the jugular? Because Poch did that, and look what happened. We look back at one of the best teams we've seen being effectively losers.
Yeah, it's periods of time, guys, and I think it's almost like a relay, and you've got each athlete has to run 100 meters and they pass the baton on, and you could argue Martin Yole started the progression,
right,
and then obviously it goes to we had some mishaps along the way. One day Ramos. He still won a trophy though, but
he's almost
2 points after 8.
Successful Spurs manager in 25 years.
So yeah, true. Yeah, but obviously 2 points after 8 games, and the players couldn't stand these guts. So they almost got him the sack. Really, Harry Redknapp comes in, he takes the baton on a little bit further. Then obviously AVB and then Poch. Has that sustained consistency, playing youngsters, getting front foot football, bringing through Harry Kane, Kyle Walker, Danny Rose, almost makes fans want to support the club again. So I think we lost our way. I think Daniel Levy lost his way. I think he got too caught up in the infrastructure. He got too caught up in the balance sheet. He got too caught up in real estate and took his eye off the ball. And by taking his eye off the ball, he left that squad to stagnate. He left that squad to become disenfranchised, disenchanted with football. And we ended up with a debacle, which is obviously Jose and Conte. So I'm hoping, guys, that we've now got a recruitment team in place. We've now got money going into the youth system, the coaches, the academies, the overseas scouting. We've now got a manager that is patient, has a plan, and has a clear direction of where he wants Tottenham to be. So I'm hoping, put that all together with the pressure that you guys are producing, social media being as big as it is now, I'm hoping that will remain relentless. And I'm hoping that it puts Daniel Levy into a position where he does the majority of the work that he needs to do on the playing stuff.
Matt, can I
His
ask you a question?
attention. Yeah, go on.
I want to ask something you said. You said he took his eye off the ball. Daniel Levy took his eye off the ball, right? What evidence is there to suggest that he ever had his eye on the ball winning silverware at Spurs? Where's the evidence to back the opposite argument? The counter to it.
No, okay.
I don't think he's ever wanted
when I
silverware.
say,
I think he likes the idea of it, but he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it.
I agree totally. I agree
cash
totally.
flow.
What I'm saying is he took the eye off the ball. I says he took his eye off the ball of replenishing and keeping that squad competitive and healthy. That's
fair enough. Yeah. Okay, I agree with that. Yeah.
That's the point.
I agree with
that's
that.
the
I agree
point
with you.
I meant. That's where he took the eye off the ball. He allowed
He
that
took his
squad
eye
to stagnate.
of maintaining top four.
Okay. Yes. So I'm hoping.
Do you agree with that?
Pardon?
I think it's about top four. That was a question.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
You sign your death certificate at Tottenham when you start asking for players that is for first, second, or third. That's when you're on the egg timer. And when that egg timer goes to 0, the trapdoor opens and you get fed to the lanes. That is literally when Pochettino started asking for players that resulted in finishing first or second, that trapdoor opened and he's a dead man walking. Just keep us 4th, 5th, great. When Conte started talking about £70 million players every transfer window, that sealed his fate. He had to go. So he's now got a manager that can work within the constraints of Daniel Levy. I'm hoping he can turn water into wine. I'm hoping for every...
But who's ever done that? Who's ever done that in the Premier League? Like this is where I think, Matt, I disagree with you here. I don't believe the constraints of Daniel Levy bring success. The constraints he's put on managers has never delivered silverware, right? Turning wine into water, right? Unless he dresses up as Moses, parts the sea, and does something we've never seen before, then fair enough. You'll be proven right. But I think there will come that moment where Levy's going to have to stop being Levy and say, right, there's your £200 million summer transfer budget, like I give you every year, 180, 200 million. Don't go and buy 8 players. Go and buy 3 top-level game changers. Top-level, a Ginola, a Gaza, a Berbatov, a Modric of now. Go and get them, and then I will believe. But to turn wine into water, I just don't see how you do that when Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal are so freaking good now.
But here's the point, Stal. We were that far adrift, okay? We were that far adrift in the summer that it would have been impossible, one, to get the players that you and most of the fans want, yeah? So we have to almost reconnect as a squad. We have to become credible again. Players turned down Tottenham last season. Turned them down. No chance. Agent said, I'm not sending my player there. It was a toxic football club to go to. Why would agents send their high caliber players to Tottenham with Conte every other interview setting the place on fire? Keep them players out of Tottenham Hotspur. So there had to be a reconnection of Tottenham. So this is what Ange is starting to do. Make Tottenham credible. Before we start looking at trophies, before we start looking at silverware, Spurs have to get back on planet Earth. We were floating. We were lost in space. Literally lost in space. So get them back on planet Earth. Get a direction. Get a style of play. Get players that can play that style of play. Get performances. Get results. And then all of a sudden, we're 4th or 5th. And then go, right, Mr. Levy, this is now what I need to take us further. That's the question mark.
He's not saying that though, is he? He's saying we can't spend £100 million on a player. We can only spend 50 twice, and like he's saying things like that, and he's accepting Timo Werner's, and he's accepting Villas, who goes to Seville, and Seville don't want him.
But let me give you an example. Right?
Yeah.
Van der Ven cost 43 million.
Sorry, Brian. Jump in whenever you want. By the way.
No, I will do.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
No, go on, Matt. You carry on, buddy. You carry on, Brian.
No. So Van der Ven cost 43 million pounds, right? Who'd heard of Van der Ven before for Wolfsburg? Who'd heard of him?
Yeah, nobody.
Who'd heard of him? Okay,
nobody.
So what I'm saying, from turning water into wine, those are the examples of Vicario, Van der Ven. Can he keep doing that? Can he keep doing that? Because that is what he's going to need to do. What I'm hoping, on top of the 43 Van der Vens, he goes and gets Chiesa. When he says, I want Chiesa from Juventus, it's going to cost 65, 70 million. I'm hoping that check gets written on top of.
Yeah, but right. So, Matt, I agree with you here. I've got no issue finding the next Dogi, the next Pape Sarr, the next Van der Ven. But as long as when you do that, you're also signing Kvaratskhelia, Rafinha, Chiesa. But when I see Richarlison's, Timo's, Johnson's, Villiers, I lose hope, Matt. I start saying to myself, I can't lie to myself with what I'm seeing. What you said, I agree with. Bring in those magic players, or as Sav used to call it, Stardust. No problem with the Vicario, the Van der Vens, the Pape Sarrs all day long. I'm for it. Let's have a bit of balance. But we don't do that special bit. That's what I need to see. If I don't see that this summer, and I see Timo sign, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm literally going to get cancelled from YouTube from anger management issues. I'll be on Brian's morning show, anger management, featuring Helios.
So how many times, I think I was still saying it when I was part of Tottenham away, I keep using the term lumps of coal and diamonds. I'm all for, like you said, signing the youngsters, signing the unknowns. But you need, I don't mind if we sign 3 or 4, delighted. Let's hope they turn out. But with that 3 or 4, you need one established gem that you know is going to come in and has all the quality to succeed. If Spurs started doing that, for every, let's say, 3 youngsters we identified, or a Van der Ven or Vicario, there was a game changer. There would be no problem whatsoever. I would have no drama whatsoever. I'd be like, well done, Tottenham. Well done. Whatever the board are doing, well done. Because you're supplementing potential with actual quality.
Yes.
And if you start bringing in 3 very, very high potential, and you bring in one that you just know is just pure quality and will adapt and will settle in the Premier League, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Listen, we're all under no illusions. Though how we are as a football club, we like to identify young talent, get them in cheap, so then when it comes to selling them, we get a much bigger return on investment. That's listen, there's no getting away from it. This is the club we are right now. And fine, it's all well and good if these ones work off, but like we said, this season there's been a Van der Ven, a Destiny, even though he's bought the season before. This has been his first season. A Porro. There's been a couple others, but I can guarantee that between the 3 of us and everyone in the panel, everyone in the comments, We can all write a list of how many players we've done that where it's gone tremendously wrong, where it's gone hideously wrong. That list far outweighs the ones that have come in, the lumps of coal and turned into diamonds. But that's what Spurs need to do. For every 2 or 3 lumps of coal, go bring in a diamond. Go bring in a diamond. You'll be surprised how many people like myself will be like, do you know what? I see something there. They've brought in 3 players we don't know, but they have brought in that one player that is a game changer.
Do you know, Brian?
They got to try. That's what. I would have absolutely no issues whatsoever on the footballing side.
Do you know one of the biggest reasons as well? We must sign elite quality players. One of the biggest reasons we've got to start doing this is because Modric, Bale, Berbatov, Carrick, Kane, and on, Carl Walker, all of them, they all left because they didn't see that happening.
Yep.
They bought into the project of whoever the manager was at that time. They all bought into staying at Spurs. Teddy Sheringham. But every season we kept falling short or failing, and they're seeing the competition sign those types of players and winning the trophies. They knew I need a better level of player for me to go up a level. Van der Ven, Udogie, Pape Sarrs, Vicarios, they will all leave Tottenham if we don't do this, because that's what every top player at Spurs has done. I've said it already. Van der Ven is a phenomenal player. Like, I can't believe we pulled him out. I don't even know how no one else went in for this guy, right? In 2-3 years' time, he's doing a Gareth Bale. He's doing a Modric, because Madrid will come knock him. And when they do, bye-bye Spurs. I've won nothing here because you keep signing, these players that one day might be good, but they're not now. And we need to sign marquee players to keep our top players as well. I think if Spurs signed Jack Grealish, Spurs signed Van der Ven, maybe Kane would have given it one more year. Maybe he would have said, do you know what? These are good players at Spurs. Right? If we did that 3 years ago, maybe Kane would have said, do you know what? I've not seen this before. I can see how we can improve now. But the best players, they know. Like, I can't play with these players. Like, I've got Højbjerg and Skip trying to create chances for me. I score 2 goals, but then I know Eric Dyer's going to score an own goal, and Ben Davies is going to get skinned because he hasn't got pace. So the best players.
I just want to add to that with you. Why I think is imperative, and one thing I will give the club a considerable amount of credit for, is this season they already got Destiny to sign a new contract. They got Pape to sign a new contract. You mentioned these people like Van der Ven. For me, right now, I will be working on giving Van der Ven a new contract. I'll be working on giving Vicario a new contract, just so, A, to reward them for what they've done, and B, it makes it that little bit harder for when the big boys inevitably will come, that this is not going to be as easy as you think, because we do have right now. You
strike like Bale and Modric did, where they say,
well, you look at that, but Modric did for a bit. But Modric, the last season, when he came back, he scored that cracker against Liverpool. For the first 6 months of the season, Modric did nothing like a pure professional. He was incredible that season.
I think that's incredible. I think that's because we agreed to let him go though after.
Yeah, but we had the gentleman's agreement set when Chelsea didn't come, and rather than going on strike, he came back and said, "All right, one more season," and he treated it like a true professional and got on with the job. The last couple of months, not so much, but the first 6 months he was untouchable. He was incredible. But I think that's what we've got to do. Not just to make it hard for them. People like Van der Ven, like you said, I cannot believe how magnificent this guy is. He is incredible. He is absolutely, for me, the signing of our season by a country mile. Some people will say Vicario. I think he's absolutely sensational. But these players, we need to start wrapping them up on longer contracts. I know they may have signed 4 or 5 years. They're already a year down practically. Keep signing these players on long-term deals. And I will say, what they've done with Destiny and Sarr, they've been very clever. They've done it. They're both on very, very cheap wages when they came. And they could see the impact they were having and thinking, right, rather than waiting a couple of seasons for them to play like this and having to give them a major paid rise, let's give them a little booster. Let's not more than double their wages. I think they're on 15 or 16 grand each per week. Let's put them on your 40s and 50s and tie them down for 6 years or 5 years, whatever it may be, because then that stops us having to go extortionate and go, right, let's put you on 80, 100 plus. So whereas it's very, very clever business from Tottenham to put them on a better contract and more than doubling their wages, which, let's face it, after 6 months of being at the club and Pape a bit more, who's going to say no? It's a great contract for them to take, and it ties them down for longer, and we need to start doing that. Because you got to remember, a lot of the squad are still so young. Van der Ven is ridiculously young. Porro, ridiculously young. Dragusin, all right, I won't bring him into this equation right now, but there are players there that are still so young, and we need to make sure they're wrapped up for the long term. And if, like you said, the big boys come in, they are heavily, heavily tied down. So it is going to take the big bucks to get them out.
And the big bucks is what it usually takes, right? Gareth Bell, 85 million. Harry Kane, 100 million.
Look, I think we've been pretty good in retaining our players. You know, to keep Harry Kane, a player of his level, a player of his profile, till he was 30. You know, and I'm no Daniel Levy fan, but to keep him, I don't know how we kept him to 30. By rights, he should have left at 25, 26.
Six-year contract is what did it.
Pardon?
That 5 or 6 year contract he signed.
I think you add to that his love for Spurs. I reckon if he hadn't been a Spurs supporter growing up.
Well, so I think we've been.
Oh, he wanted out 3 years ago, but we didn't let him go. Remember?
You know, if you look at Eriksen's. Yeah. So we've normally been quite good at keeping hold of our talents. Kane, Modric, Bale. We had Bale for 6 seasons.
I see your point. I see your point.
You know, we've normally kept on. So that's the one part of Daniel Levy I don't worry about. Somebody bidding for our players. That's the one part I think he's a master of keeping players or getting the absolute maximum number for them. My problem with Daniel Levy is when Poch, Harry Redknapp, and get to the pearly gates and say, we're close. I want more Van der Vens and Madison's coming through the door and less Louis Saha's and Timo Werner's. That's what I want to see more of. I think that's where we struggle. We struggle to get hold of the players that we need to kick on. That's a problem. Just imagine if we'd have got Trossard.
Yeah,
imagine Trossard.
Matt,
this summer we're going to see.
There's no coincidence that we're very, very good at making money, but very, very bad at spending money. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. Always.
Guys, listen. When it comes to money, oh my God, we could do a 5-hour show just on this year's FFP and Profit Sustainability Trophy that we won. Last couple of questions. We'll do this one quickly. Big up to William. He puts a question every week, to be fair to him. Do you genuinely think we will sign Turbo Wiener on a permanent? Also, who's the player that made you fall in love with Spurs? For me, it was Gareth Bale. And for my dad, it was Glenn Hoddle. Right, let's do this quickly. So, yes or no to Timo signing? Not what you want, what you think we'll do. And who's your favourite Spurs player that made you fall in love? All right, so, Matt?
No, we won't sign Timo Werner permanently.
All right, and the player, your favourite Spurs player?
I lived in Edmonton in the late 70s, early 80s, so I would say Glenn Hoddle, Garth Crooks, Ozzy Ardiles.
You can only pick one.
Glenn Hoddle.
I'm making it hard for you, Glenn Hoddle. What a player. What a player. Brian, I know your answer to the second one, but...
I think the world knows my answer to the second part. Yes, unfortunately, I do think Timo Werner's going to sign. And I say unfortunately, I was actually pro his signing, and I think he's actually done reasonably okay. But like you said, still, I don't want players to come in and do reasonably kind of okay. I want players to come in and go, hell yeah, I'm going to smash it. I caught the very, very tail end of Hoddle. The season that I started watching Spurs quite religiously was his last season before he went to Monaco. There is no doubt, and to the day I die, there will be no better player to ever wear the Spurs shirt who wore the number 8, and his name is Paul Gascoigne. People used to say, do you know what, paying to watch Gaza, paying to watch a certain player was worth the entry fee alone. Paul Gascoigne is just the most beautifully gifted, incredible footballer to this day I've still ever seen live. I idolise that man, and without a doubt, I was already in love with Spurs, but Paul Gascoigne is the player all the time, no doubt. Yours was Dean Austin, weren't it, still?
Steve Sedgley, yeah. I think I've got a bad feeling we're going to sign Timo Werner, man. I've got a really bad feeling. I think, yes, we will sign him, and then I'm going to lose my mind. I think we will sign him.
Can I just ask you why? Can I ask you why do you think that?
Because he's cheap, because the wages will be low, because he's out of contract at Leipzig this season, so we can negotiate good terms for us. And I think Ange is a yes man. I hate to admit it. I think he's a bit of a yes man.
Can I just add this with that as well? I think if Timo Werner
I want to be wrong on this. By the way, I would love to be wrong on this massively. I'd eat humble pie. I'd love to eat humble pie.
I will say, sorry, Stu, I didn't mean to cut you off before you said your player that fell in love. One thing I will say of Timo Werner is if we do sign him, which I think we will, I still think potentially if he can get back to the form of RB Leipzig the first time round, then we have pulled off probably the heist of the century. But will he get there? Stel, go on. Sorry, the player that made you fall in love, and I know it's Dean Austin, no matter what you say.
No, the player that made me fall in love with Spurs, believe it or not, is Nicky Barmby, because
what a player.
I went to my first game, I think it was 92-93 at White Hart Lane. And we were losing to Southampton, and we won 4-2. We scored 4 goals in 4 minutes. It was nuts.
Yeah.
And I was on the shelf. Like, first game ever, my uncle took it to the shelf. That's when people used to put chips in wrapped up newspaper. Newspaper in the air, chips all over me. I think I was 12 years old. I was going nuts. And Nicky Barmby come over and punched in the air his fist. And I was like, yeah. And because of that, Nicky Barmby. So, yeah, Nicky Barmby.
He only left us because he was homesick and wanted to go up north. He was incredible for us that time.
Although the best player on the day was Teddy Sheringham. He got 2 goals, assists. Sheringham was fire that day. But
Aaron Anderson got the other goal as well, didn't he? I was at that game. I remember Nicky Barmby scoring a stooping header in an FA Cup against Wimbledon. It was one of the best headers I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it? He was so good. Do you know what? I think his best time and where I saw him play the best football, and it isn't just biased because it was at Spurs. I think when he went to Liverpool, Everton, Hull, Borough, he was nowhere near the player Tottenham had.
No, he was good.
Incredible at Tottenham.
He was good at Spurs. Good player. Got an England call up as well.
Yeah.
Got a super chat here from Ian. JD, it doesn't matter who we sign with Levy at the helm. It will be bargain basement signings that will eventually lead to the sacking of Ange, he says. Big up to the super chat. Last question of the day from Tim Man. He says, big up, Tim Man. Big up, guys. New season prediction. Fans will be mega excited for the new season. We get off to a bad start. Out of the cup early again. Are fans going to blame another manager? I guess the question here really is, if next season doesn't turn out how a lot of us want it to or hope the progression lies, will fans turn on a manager or will fingers be pointed elsewhere? I think for me, I'll go last. Brian, what do you think?
Oh, mate, listen, I'm tired of hearing this fan base going, if he doesn't back this manager this window, that's it, I'm leaving you out. If he doesn't do it, I'm leaving you out. If he doesn't do it, I'm leaving you out. And then the stuff that they said that will make them be leaving out happens and they do nothing. So do I think this fan base will have the wool pulled over their eyes and once again go for the manager rather than the head of the snake? Absolutely, I do. Absolutely. As you know, Stel, I've organised with yourself and many others in the Leave Out. We've actually took time out of our lives to organise protests, to do things, to promote awareness, to do everything. And you get a lot of people that come. There's a lot of people that watch these shows that live across the world or don't live in London or can't get down to protest. But what amazes me is when we've done these, we'll get 200 people outside the club shop. But then as soon as you get in the stadium and people start chanting Leave You Out, all of a sudden thousands found their voices. Thousands of them. And I'm like, so wait a minute, you can do it inside the stadium. If you come and stood outside the club shop altogether, even if it was for 15 minutes, do you know how much more beneficial and how much more coverage and how much more... But people are too busy in the pubs or they're getting some chicken or noodles at the goal line in the marketplace. The difference it would have made if put it this way, you look at it, that stadium holds 62,500 roughly. Let's say 7,500, 10,000 people were the away supporters, corporate directors, whatever. So let's say there's like 55,000 that are actually Spurs fans, and 10% of them were chanting Leave You Out in the stadium. That's 5,500 people. You put those 5,500 people where we stood and actually come and don't just say it in a...
Oh, you've taken over the high road.
Bingo.
Taken over.
Bingo. But they're too busy in the pub or not even... They're just being part of the... Because everyone's singing Leave You Out, I want to...
So, Brian, you think then that if, God forbid, it all goes wrong with Ange, you think that...
I'll blame Ange completely.
They'll blame the manager, yeah.
Completely. I wish they wouldn't, but they will.
Yeah. By the way, just so you know, I agree, Brian. I think if it goes wrong, somehow the fan base will point the finger at the manager. Maybe questions will be asked a little bit about the Scott Munn guy, Lange, maybe, but essentially fans they'll turn on Ange. I don't see them turning on the board. Matt, where do you think fingers will be pointing at from a fan base perspective if it doesn't kind of work out with Ange?
Yeah, look, they've started now. Yeah, it's human nature, you know. I told you a couple of shows ago, Aston Villa lost to Chelsea and Newcastle. I think 2 out of 3 got knocked out the FA Cup. Lost at home to Newcastle, and the Aston Villa fans were saying, question mark, you know, is he as good as we think he is? And I was sitting there thinking, what? So it's human nature. People automatically, you win a match, you're going to win a league. You lose a match, we're going to get relegated.
Matt, isn't our situation? Matt, 1 minute. Matt, isn't our situation a bit different to Villa? Because with us, we've done this cycle, this pattern, God knows how many times now. And on top of that, we're the richest club in London. We're the kings of FFP. We're the profit and sustainability champions. We've got this data recruitment analysis team. We've got Lange. We've got Paratici. Isn't our situation a bit different? Just to say it's human nature, look at Villa. Aren't we a different animal now? Aren't we a different... Haven't we had many years...
As in regards to the finances that...
No, I'm asking you that.
Yes or no?
Do our fans behave the same as other clubs' fans? Is my question. Like, is it fair to compare us to other fans in terms of how we would respond if it didn't work with Ange?
The example I was using is just if you put on YouTube and you go to any Premier League club and they lose a football match, the fans start to whisper, not sure about the manager anymore. I think that's human nature. That's the example I was using. Eddie Howe it's all on Eddie Howe at the moment because the Newcastle are starting to lose football matches. So you're as good as your last game. You know, when I played football, they always say you're as good as your last game. What I would say is, I think we have to be mindful that we are doing a 180-degree change in how we play, the demands of the players that we are looking at are completely different. They're not off the tip of your tongue. You know, they don't become the obvious choice. Vicario wasn't the obvious choice. Raya was the obvious choice. You know, Tapsoba was the obvious choice. It wasn't Van der Ven. Papa Sarr was classed as a flop, don't forget. Last season, he was a flop signing. So it's all in the moment. Fans, experts, you name it. It's all in the moment. You have 2 good games. What a great signing he has been. You have 2 with different games. Might need to sell him in the summer. It's just human nature. And I think we just need to be mindful that we are building something. And I say we, Ange has a plan. And I am hopeful that he gets the players that he needs. And I hope the fans stick with him. Just stick with him. Just as painful as it is, we might get a few more punches on the nose. We might get a few, like Fulham. Stick with him. Just try and stick with him, because I'd rather what we've got at the moment till last season and the season before that and the season before that.
I am 100% with Ange and his plans all the way. I back every manager, even when fans turn on them. But if he signs Timo Werner, Matt, I've told you and everyone else, that is non-negotiable. It is non-negotiable. I'm not.
Can I just ask a quick question? Just a quick question. What's interesting is I respect you both. Brian is kind of more in the Timo in and style. That's really interesting between the two of you.
Do you know what, Matt? What it was when we signed him,
people think Brian and I agree on everything and that we're exactly the same person. We're not. Yeah. We're just both out.
I actually think when we signed Timo Werner,
he likes Brennan Johnson. I don't.
I think Brennan Johnson, like I said, I think there's a player there this time next year. Again,
I'm with you, Brian. I'm with you.
That's my opinion. But when it came to Timo Werner, I literally looked at it and thought, you know what? I understand this still. Son's going away. We need cover. We're not going to go get splash out money on an electric hot winger. He's got Premiership experience. Whether you want to deem him was obviously a failure at Chelsea. He's got pace, which is something that we've been needing and lacking. So everything that came with it, and the fact that it was a loan, it was like, right, have him for 6 months, and if it don't work out, he's gone. Covered for some. We had Solomon injured. Richarlison moved to the centre.
Brian, that's why I said if we sign him on a permanent.
Oh, yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. There were a load of people, as soon as we signed him, we were going absolutely bonkers.
Yeah,
like, we literally signed, like, and I was like, whoa. I actually, whereas obviously people will look, and I'm, as you know, one of the most leave out as you can find. Did I immediately think, oh, he's done the cheap option? Yeah, I did. I literally thought, oh, here we go. It's a loan deal again. But then I took a step back and I looked at the other things that he may be able to bring. Not what we'd seen on the pitch, not what I've seen from him so far, but I saw it all add up. I also said, do you know what? And I stand by this. I reckon if we had signed Dragusin first and then signed Werner, there wouldn't have been that much heat on Werner. I think it's because we were crying out for a centre-back, because we were crying out to get a centre-back in, and we were hoping to see a player of substance come that's committing to Spurs. I think if Timo Werner joined on loan, if the transfer times had been exactly the other way around, I don't think Werner gets as much heat as he got when he signed. Now, his performances, people can judge that however they want. He had a good performance, he had a bad, whatever. But I honestly reckon if Dragusin had signed first, there wouldn't have been that major reaction to signing Werner on a loan.
Yeah. Listen, this summer, I can see a lot of flip-flopping in the fan base. I can see a lot of YouTubers virtue signaling. I can see a lot happening this summer. We will see. By the way, Peter, no one's crucifying Ange. I don't know where this comes from.
I love Ange.
I've said I'm Angina back him to the end. You're the fans that turned on Conte and Jose and Poch when I was here defending him in the comments, right? I will back Ange to the end, even if I want him out, because I see a bigger problem. But anyway, look, guys, this 1 hour show has been 2 hours and 45 minutes. Freaking hell, what a show this was. Big up Will, big up Kuva for gifting the memberships. Big up Tin Man, big up Ian JD. Oh, one last question. Sorry, I missed this one. Tony Rodriguez, do you think Conte would have succeeded with this squad? I think pretty much the same. Without Harry Kane, it's hard, I think. With the front line we've got, I think it's a bit hard.
I don't think he would have. I don't think he would have, because you look at it again, he would have stuck to 3-4-3.
Oi, Van de Ven.
Yeah,
Romero, Dragusin in the back.
Yeah, but Dragusin didn't come till January. So who are you playing in the middle? Then you think he wouldn't. He didn't play Basuma. Then you talk about Basuma. He wouldn't play Basuma that way anyway.
He kept Dyer.
He kept Dyer. So you look at it. Would Hugo? Yeah. Would Hugo have gone, or would Hugo have stayed? There's so many. I don't think
you already wanted Hugo out because he was playing Fraser Forrester. He wanted.
Yeah, but he was injured. Remember, after Newcastle, he was injured.
I think we would have got Vicario.
Also, James Madison wouldn't have signed.
Brian, the question is this squad. So you've got to assume
but I don't think James Madison wouldn't have played. He wouldn't have signed James Madison, period.
No, 1 minute. No, that's not the question. The question is, do you think he would have succeeded with this squad?
And the answer is no, for the reasons I'm giving.
But Madison would be here. Madison would be here.
I'm saying he wouldn't play Madison. He wouldn't play Madison.
So who would he have played in the middle, do you think?
God, no, mate, he wouldn't play Pape Matar. He wouldn't play him when he had him. He'd probably play Bentancur, Højbjerg and Skip. I just don't think he wouldn't have played with Richarlison. So God knows what we would have done without Kane.
Who's our front? Who did he play? What was the formation? 3-4-3, was it?
Kulusevski.
Same Kulusevski.
Release would have played. He would have played. He would have gone with a big centre forward, and the only one we've got. He would be. I think
he would have played a Dogi. 100% would have played a Dogi.
Destiny, 100%. Well, he signed Destiny, didn't he? Really?
He would have played Dogi. I reckon we'd be in the same place. I reckon we'd be in the same place.
I think we would have been worse off. I think the style of football. It's a different style of football.
Matt, 1 minute. Defensively, would be 10 times more robust.
Yes.
Results-wise, I reckon results-wise we're the same. We wouldn't have been scoring as much, but for sure we wouldn't be conceding as many times.
Yeah, there's that. There is that.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I think it's better or worse. I think it's the same.
And also, I think
it'd be more toxic in the stadium. There'd be a lot more booing.
Not only that, it'd have been more toxic in the stadium, and it would have been more toxic in the dressing room. He'd already fell out with Romero. I think that squad would have been dismantled.
That's true. There's a point there. Yeah. The atmosphere.
Hey, Romero would have been gone. He would have been absolutely gone.
Romero would have been gone. Richarlison would have probably have gone. Højbjerg would have played. Dyer would have played. Ben Davies would have played. We would have been
Longley probably would have signed.
To watch. Probably Longley
maybe we would have been worse. If the dressing room would have been
no doubt, would have been worse. It would have been horrible.
Yeah, listen, I've changed my view. Would be worse, just on the basis the dressing room would have been toxic. I see. I can agree with that.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I was just going to say, could you imagine the first press conference after we sell Harry Kane and Conte's? Can you imagine his press conference?
Dynamite. Box office.
I think he might have walked. He might have walked live on air.
The place. He'd have torched the place. He'd have torched the building.
I think the moment we sign, we sell Harry Kane and the replacement is Beliz, I think that's the moment he torches it. He just blows it all up. He's just like,
he'd have burnt the place down.
Oh man. Yep. All right. Once again, big up Will, Kuba, Tim Man, Ian, Will. Big up to all of you. Everyone in the chat tonight, this evening, this afternoon. Big up to all of you who commented. We tried to put as many of your comments on the screen. Big up to everyone on YouTube who put your questions up for us to answer. I hope we answered all your questions to the best we could. And of course, big up to Matt.
So I think you got a super chat you missed from Will that came in the last discussion.
Oh, sorry, Will. Didn't see that, buddy. What will be the aftermath if we lose the North London derby and Arsenal go on to win the league by 1 or 2 points? I think more fans will be on the fence about Ange. I think this, right, for me, I think fans know Arsenal are better than Spurs. I think deep down we know they're better than us, right? So for me, it depends on the performance. If they just outdo us on the day and it's tight and we gave everything we had, like we did at Man City away, where we just put everything on the table, we just about got a draw, but we gave it a go, fans will accept it. But if we play like we did against Fulham, then I think there's problems. What do you guys think? Or no, a loss, we're done. We'll turn on Ange. I think it's the performance that will be judged. I like to think that.
Listen, if we go on, this will be the second time under Levy's tenure that they would have won the league, and one, they would have won it at us, and the second time contributing to it. This is the one game I don't accept defeat. I don't accept bad performances. There is absolutely no excuse whatsoever. I don't care if the players come from abroad and they don't get the North London derby. You'll get to know what the North London derby is. If they go on to win the league and they took 3 points from us, mate, all I can say is thank God I live in Toronto, because I know how bad it will be back home. I know exactly how bad it will go home. And they'll go there winning the league, having spent money on Declan Rice and doing all the things they need to do, progressing in the Champions League, having the project and backing the manager. The manager would have been proved right. And I'll leave that there, because it will lead back to what you and me still say every single day of the week, twice on a Sunday, that this will all happening under the nose of our owners that do absolutely fuck all about it, that don't care that Arsenal have won the league. It doesn't matter. We've made more money than them. And can they have people on their roof and go-karting underneath in the car park? Do they have an H club? Do they have the longest bar? Do they have boxing? Do they have NFL? Do they have this? Again, it will be another thing where the blame should be heavily reliant on one person, but we'll find every other excuse to make it about something different. It is categorically unacceptable for what that super chat says to happen. Period.
Matt, if we lose the North London derby, Arsenal going to win the league, will fans look at Ange, or do you think it's how we lost the game more?
No doubt. No doubt. Listen, that match is a huge match, and I think the fact that they are playing better, getting results, compounds our situation at the moment. But look, I think we would do more than enough in that game. I really do. I think that will be a really, really big game for us. So, look, Angie's you're always going to get a percentage, a section of the fans that are going to question the manager, and that's their gift. I've got no problem with that. We all want the best. We all want Spurs to be winning and being competitive, but I just think we just need to hold our nerve as fans. Hold our nerve. Let's see what happens in the summer, and let's see what will be a stronger squad and outfit come the first game of the season without Timo Werner.
We better be without Timo Werner, Matt. I'm telling you, I might cancel the Friday shows and the Monday. In fact, I might cancel myself. People, on that bombshell, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday with our Monday show, and then there's a few bits during the week. I'll be on Side TV on the Monday as well. Brian Daigle, when are you guys next live? Probably tomorrow morning?
Well, hopefully we'll do something over the weekend. I might do another pre-recorded after my video I did from the heart. There may be a few others that come out. But tomorrow we might do a little bit of a vlog because Brian Ireland's taking me to my first TFC game, and I've just been told we might be actually going into a box. So I hope so, because it's meant to be snowing even more, and it's -6 right here. So really not wanting to sit down in an open stadium, but looking forward to that. But yeah, mate, we're having a blizzard right now. It's been nice weather recently. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, let's have some snow. It's what we do here. But yeah, hopefully there'll be some stuff Monday to Friday morning show with Ben. And then obviously I'll be back for the reaction and Anger management for our, I don't say victory against Luton, because like I said, I'm worried about it. Our match against Luton, Anger management will be back.
There you go. Just a reminder as well, people, Barnaby, Suntalk Spurs, the debate will be on next week. I will put it on the socials and let everyone know when we've confirmed the day and time. I'm thinking Wednesday at the moment, and it will be on our channel. It's going to be on Tottenham Way. All right, guys, listen, have a great weekend. Thanks for watching, Matt, Brian. Good to have you on again.
Always Levy out.
Levy out.
Thank you. Thank you.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away.